Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 58th TWitWoW monthly Q&A. It is April 29th, 2021. Our last Q&A was March 25th, 2021, and today we will be answering all of the questions that you have asked us since that time. We have got a grand total of 45 questions today, which is damn close to ideal. It might as well be ideal. We always say we'd like to be between 45 and 65. We just scraped the bottom of that requirement, which is glorious. We've got some really good questions. We've got some really fucking weird questions. John, are you looking forward to answering?
Let's get into it, man. I'm ready.
3 questions to start us off from Hypothesis. This dude literally waits for our video to finish processing and then immediately comments his questions for the following month. First up, how would you feel about the Iconics, oh god, this is dated, reuniting as the hosts of WrestleMania?
I'll still answer the question as just them reuniting. I think it'd be good business. Personally, I think I've even talked about wanting to see Billy Kay specifically in Stardom. I'm wondering how Billy and Peyton both could do there, but I think one, if not both, are AEW bound. Although I could see Billy going to Impact and maybe Peyton going to AEW if she wanted to be with Shawn Spears, because I know they're married. But I do hope they reunite down the road. I think it's good business. I think they're money together. I think Billy though is definitely money apart, and Peyton, well, I hope she can prove that she's money. So how do you feel, man?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been great if that would have happened before they got released, and even just now, like the idea of them reuniting, I fully expect that to happen. I don't think they ever wanted to split up in the first place. I think that they were against the idea, and Vince just insisted on it because he wanted to push Peyton as a single star and then never fucking got around to it. So, yeah, I think that they probably want to be seen as almost like the Young Bucks, like a package deal. Like they are a tag team first and singles wrestlers, fifth. Like they're a tag team first, second, third, and fourth, and then they're singles wrestlers fifth. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So next up, second question from Hypothesis, who is in chat and said, feel free to read my questions when they come up, as if we weren't already. Second question is, if you could get a celebrity to be involved with a wrestling promotion, who would it be and where?
That is a good question. I want to think about a celebrity that's like a huge wrestling fan, but I honestly like I know of some, and they've worked at WWE in the past, but I'm trying to think of a celebrity that's a huge wrestling fan.
I'm going to kind of cheat on this question.
Okay.
Mandalorian star Mercedes KV, aka Sasha Banks, if you didn't know. Involved in Stardom.
That is a very clever cheat, at least.
She's a movie, or I guess not a movie star, but she is a star of a television show on Disney Plus. It counts, damn it. It counts.
If you can cheat, so can I. John Cena for New Japan.
Yeah.
Because I think him versus Tanahashi is a legit dream match, honestly.
Yeah. You know what, dude?
That.
Let's give him our money's worth. Since we both came up with kind of cheaty answers, let's come up with more real answers. Let's both come up with like actual like celebrities that aren't involved in wrestling already.
I want Morgan Freeman to appear at a WrestleMania and do like the WrestleMania intro package voiceover. That'd be an amazing crossover.
I love that. That's so good. Let's see. I want, let me think of the guy's name, Jason Momoa to appear as a weird interaction with Roman Reigns.
Oh, I'd like that idea a lot, actually. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Third and final question here from Hypothesis. How would you follow up on Pokemon Legends Arceus if the game succeeds? God, I hope I pronounced that Pokemon's name correctly. I never know how to pronounce that one. But if the game succeeds, how would you follow up on it?
I have no clue how to answer this question, so this is all you, bud.
I remember seeing the trailer for this and being extremely hyped for it. But I now, because I'm so far removed from it, I don't remember it. So let me tell you what, why don't we both watch the trailer together?
Okay.
Now, only you are going to be able to have volume on this, unfortunately. Actually, I can cast it to my TV, so I will be able to hear it. Hooray for technology sometimes.
Yeah, it's all right.
Dude, I have a very mixed relationship. You know that.
Yeah.
It's complicated. And that's honestly being kind of generous. All right, glasses on. Ready when you are.
Did you post it in the chat or what?
I thought I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, it was a bit late for me. All right. All right. Do I count us down or like? You know?
Yeah, let's count down because that way, if anyone else wants to watch it with us, they can.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
It's a Nintendo Switch game. Tale from a long, long time ago. Sinnoh region. It's only vast.
Oh, no shit.
Sinnoh region is the region where Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum take place, by the way.
Ah.
Piplup! Oh, the cutest starter. Oh, yeah. I knew I was hyped for this game. Looks gorgeous.
Definitely very visually stunning.
It reminds me of like a console Dragon Quest game.
Yeah.
Like the graphic stylization of those games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, see she pulled out the Pokeball, chucked it at that Shinx. Oh, and it actually caught it, damn. Who are you, fucking Go, or whatever the guy's name is?
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Bidoof? What the hell, Garchomp in the wild? Chimchar? Lucario fighting a Staraptor. Badoo. I saw a Turtwig back there. Why the hell are... What? These aren't Gen 4 starters? Why are non-Gen 4 starters in a Gen 4 game? Oshawott is the other cutest starter, by the way.
Yeah, I still don't... Wait, I guess there's more. Hold on.
Yeah, only like 15 seconds or 25 seconds more. There's that Arceus or RC... I don't know. Arceus, maybe? I don't fucking know. Pokemon Legends. It is Arceus!
Damn. Still don't really know what to say. I mean, visually it's stunning. I like that you're actually controlling a trainer and you've got like a throwing Pokeball mechanic, and it's more like interactive. And I'm sure they've done other Pokemon games like that before, but it's been a while since I've seen one that immersive in that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really don't know like how you build on that.
Realistically, wouldn't the logical conclusion, if that game succeeds, just be everybody's dream Pokemon game, the MMO that spans every region where you can catch every Pokemon and just collect them and train them and breed them and battle them against other trainers and trade them and collect all the badges from, like, that's the logical conclusion, is to just give people everything that they want.
I got bonus points if you can add VR capability to make it seem like they're in the midst of the Pokemon battle.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's the ultimate Pokemon game right there. In fact, I even wondered if you'd ever want a Pokemon game, and I use you in a general sense, not you specifically, where, like, you are the Pokemon and you're battling. Like, I don't know, you're like somebody's equivalent to a Pikachu or some shit, and you travel with them, and, like, you get to be a part of the battle. But again, I really would emphasize a VR component for that type of experience. But yeah, for this game specifically, I agree with Ashton. Just making an all-expansive, open-world type thing, travel each region, literally catch them all.
Yeah.
I think, again, you could add bonus points if you could have a VR capability in there in parts. But, yeah, I guess that's the only logical way to follow up.
If you think about it, if you, like, the most regions that have ever been featured in one game is 2, because we had Johto and Kanto, or Kanto, I think it's Kanto, featured in Gen 2, and obviously then, you know, the remakes. But imagine being able to start out in whatever town you want and be able to go through all of the 8 gyms in that town and then fight the Elite Four and then be able to travel to a different region or a different continent or whatever you want to call it and start over from scratch doing the same exact thing, like in the same game. And then, like, by the time you get through multiple regions, you have this crazy collection of Pokemon that you can use then to fight trainers, like other people, like Wi-Fi battles and stuff like that, and like you can fucking like breed them and IV, select the IVs and the natures and all that stuff, and then EV train them and all that shit, and make sure that they're like tip top shape, and you can do battles that way. Like that's so goddamn awesome.
Yeah, I'm personally excited to see how Donkey reviews this when it comes out, because I think
if he does, if he does,
I would hope he would, because I mean, if Craig is telling the truth, then I have no reason to think that he wouldn't. He said this is supposed to be the first open world Pokemon game in its 25-year history. I mean, even for non-Pokemon fans, that's got to elicit some curiosity. Yeah. So I'll have to see how it goes. Next question.
That was the third and final question from Hypothesis. So first question from Brandon Best, who I did see is in chat, and it's nice to see you here, Brandon. Is for just you, John. Why is it that people still flock to Ayn Rand despite the fact that she's objectively awful and her work has been significantly discredited?
Well, Brandon, you've certainly got a sympathizer with me on that point. I think part of the reason why, and me and Ashton talk about this quite often, the right media infrastructure, I think, still holds her up. I mean, they haven't recently, but I'm sure when she has an anniversary or stuff come up, you'll have Fox News do a segment on her. You may have a Steven Crowder or a Ted Cruz talk about her. She is very popular, in certain conservative circles. I think also she gets a pass because it's not nonfiction, it's fiction. And I think that makes a lot of right-wing talking points more palatable to some people. So I think, you just combine those two things, and really just the idea that she's become kind of a meme in a way with like people that dunk on her. I think in some ways that kind of raises her appeal in a paradoxical way. So I think all these things come together to have her just endure, even though I really wish we would just forget about her. Like the worst literary experience I ever had was probably reading her book, and the thing was I enjoyed it the first time I read it, but it was the worst experience because like intellectually, the points that it was making through fiction were such garbage. So, but that's how propaganda works, right? So, yeah, that's all I've got to say about that.
All right. Second question from Brandon. Any thoughts on the WWE Peacock deal so far?
Yeah, when you actually become a quality streaming service, let us know, because we're supporting you so that our job can get easier. But if you don't have a rewind or pause button, you're virtually worthless. I will say, however, that I have enjoyed watching Talking Smack on there. And it's a much cheaper deal than the network used to be, so I'll take it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from, is like, it's not perfect, but the quality is good from what I've seen, and if they can just get the pause play functionality for live programming, which in reality, they should have had done before they went and purchased one of the biggest live entertainment companies' library ever. They should have thought about it ahead of time. Like, they should have known, like, oh, we're going to have a lot of big, important live shows. I'm wondering if it was like a very kind of spur of the moment, like flying by the seat of your pants kind of deal, where like they made the offer not expecting Vince to bite, and he did, and they were just like, oh shit, we can't turn this down. What do we do? And they just accepted it, and then they were just like, we'll just figure it out along the way.
Yeah, that always ends well.
So third question from Brandon. What is your favorite wrestling match so far in April?
So far in April? That's a very specific question.
I already know my answer. You want it?
Sure.
Tam Natspoi from Yokohama Dream Cinderella.
I'm going to say the triple threat Bryan, Edge, Roman from WrestleMania.
Nice. Yeah,
that was so fucking good.
That was excellent for sure. Now that I think about it, you probably got me beat on that. All right. I actually forgot that WrestleMania happened this month. Jesus Christ.
Time's a weird thing.
It is. All right. Next set of questions are from Super Blue. First up, what are your thoughts on WrestleMania 17, 20 years later, and how has it affected wrestling as a whole?
I still think it holds up. I think the one thing, of course, people wish could like go back and change, obviously, is Austin's heel turn. Even Austin himself says, that I wish I would have taken Vince's help, but then suckered him with the stunner to, end the show. And, yeah, I mean, if that's the worst thing to come out of that show for a lot of people, it must have done something right. I think, obviously the crowd was great energy, had a lot of hokey, like, undercard matchups. It was the best and the worst of the Attitude Era, what can you say? And it was Rock Austin in the main event. What's not to love?
Yeah, I
So
was going to say it was arguably even the pinnacle of the Attitude Era because it wasn't long after this that Ruthless Aggression started easing its way in.
Exactly. So yeah, I'd say it still holds up.
Like, didn't the purchase of WCW happen just a few weeks before WrestleMania X7?
I believe it did, yeah.
Yeah. So really, like, WrestleMania X7 was almost like a love letter to the Attitude Era before getting fully into the Invasion angle, which then led to the Ruthless Aggression Era.
Right.
So, anyway, second question from Super Blue. At what point I'm skipping. If WWE were to buy New Japan, Impact, and AEW, would wrestling still be around 20 years later or die altogether?
Wait, if who bought what companies? Just say that part again.
Yeah, this is where I'm like, it's never happening. If WWE were to buy New Japan, Impact, and AEW, would wrestling still be around 20 years later or would it die altogether?
Okay, there are two problems with this question. One, to reiterate your point, that's never happening. Two, even if it were to happen, that's still, in my mind, too of a reductive view of wrestling, because there are always going to be smaller promotions. Even if the quote-unquote indie scene didn't have, like, any, bigger things about it, like if it didn't have your ROHs, or, well, I guess ROH is no longer indie, but if you didn't have, like, your PWGs, say, and stuff like that, I think there would still be wrestling. Because, you can't just reduce wrestling to the big companies. I think wrestling would be drastically different if WWE had that kind of fucking power. Like, that's some Disney slowly taking over the world shit. But I think wrestling as an entertainment form, as an art form, would always exist in some circles. I mean, WWE can't totalize wrestling no matter how much they may want to. That's just my view on it.
I think the the least likely thing in this statement is WWE purchasing AEW, because let's be real, Tony Khan could buy WWE if he wanted to.
Yeah, that's true.
Tony Khan is worth like $8 billion. Vince is only worth like $2 billion.
Yeah.
Tony Khan could literally just give Vince half of his fortune. And Vince would happily be like, oh my God, I'm selling. Fuck you all, I'm out.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And Tony Khan would still have $4 billion left. Jesus.
Unbelievable.
Tony Khan could give away half of his wealth and still be worth more than Vince McMahon is right now.
Damn, that's wild, dude.
Yeah. It's insane. So that's never happening. WWE buying New Japan is very unlikely, although I think that's got a hell of a lot more of a likelihood of happening than them purchasing AEW. And I could see WWE buying Impact if they really wanted to, like if they wanted those like historical tapes and stuff. But if it hasn't happened yet, I don't think it's ever going to happen. So all three of those are pretty unlikely. If by some miracle Vince McMahon would make some smart investments and manage to, 10x his wealth and actually be able to afford AEW and somehow find a way to convince the officials in Japan to allow him to purchase New Japan and decide to buy Impact. If he would do all three of those things, it would create a power vacuum, and some other person would start some other wrestling company, and they would work their way up to becoming, like the number two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, third question from Super Blue. At what point does a thrown together tag team cease to be, quote unquote, thrown together? And this is inspired by an Alex Foster comment during a SmackDown review we were doing a while ago.
Yeah, I remember this question. Okay. Yeah. And we kind of answered it then. I think originally I said when you win your first tag title, but that isn't quite right. Because we've seen literally thrown together teams win their, first tag title, like, on the night they came together, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe when you have a double team finisher. I don't know. That's, like, the best guess I have. It's actually got a bit more effort to it than winning your first title. Because then that shows me that you've put in the effort of working as a team and figuring out how you can bring your strengths together into one ultimate move. So
I think you have to have a tag team finisher and at least like one or two other tag team moves that you do together.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good number.
Yeah. All right. So next up, fourth question from Super Blue at Money in the Bank, the pay-per-view. Or wait, I think I skipped one. Yeah. So here's the actual fourth question. Which show should go back to being a one-day event, even or especially if it means being 1 hour shorter? Wrestle Kingdom, WrestleMania, WrestleMania Takeover, or all of the above?
I guess Wrestle Kingdom. Because, like, I never minded Wrestle Kingdom being one night, but WrestleMania, I would love for them to keep the weekend format, because WWE loves to be so extra and obnoxious with everything. So, like, going back to a night, even if it was just an hour shorter, I guess Wrestle Kingdom. You know, because I never minded it being a night to begin with, so it can only make it better.
I mean, I don't know. I like having a double main event for Wrestle Kingdom. I like, the potential that could create. But I definitely would say WrestleMania Takeover, just because, a 4 hour WrestleMania Takeover is fine. I don't want a fucking 7 hour WrestleMania, and I don't really want a 6 hour Wrestle Kingdom, or even a 5 hour Wrestle Kingdom. But like a 3.5 to 4 hour Takeover isn't really all that awful, and I don't think that the 2 nights for Takeover, Stand and Deliver, really added all that much to the show.
Right.
Whereas I feel like it adds a lot to WrestleMania, because you don't have to deal with a 7 hour long fucking show, and then both Royal Rumble winners get to main event in their own individual nights. And I think it adds a lot to Wrestle Kingdom, because they actually kind of get creative having 2 nights where they'll have like contenders be named on the first night and challenge for the title on the second night and stuff like that. And I really like that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. All right, next question.
Fifth and final question from Super Blue at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Would you like to see another Money in the Bank Tower match, or do you think WWE should save it? And he specifically said use it every 3 years to avoid overuse. I don't know why he specifically used every 3 years when he could have just said every few years and preserve it and avoid overuse. But to me personally, I want a Tower match every goddamn year, and I want a normal ladder match every goddamn year too. I want both of them.
3 years is an odd number. I would say every other year for the Tower match, only because I feel like if you do it every year, you're going to exhaust creative possibilities rather quickly, and then it's going to start to be a bit uninspired. I know it also comes down to the performers in the match. Like, some can do better with certain bits than others, or maybe with others they're so talented you don't even have to give them that much to have entertaining moments in the kind of Tower ladder match. But even so, I do worry about exhausting the concept, like we've seen with TLC, Hell in a Cell, The Chamber. I am. I mean, maybe this is just the nostalgia speaking, but part of me does miss when you break out the Hell in a Cell for a really bitter rivalry, or the Elimination Chamber when you have too many claimants to one championship or one thing, and you just need to settle in the most barbaric way possible. Yeah. So yeah, I'd kind of ease the gas a little bit. However, if they are going to do it, I do agree with Ashton that, you do one Tower match and then one traditional match. This way, you don't also overexpose the concept in one night either. So yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from there.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from too, man. Like I said, though, I'm just a big fan of having the Tower matches. And to me, like, you are more right than me in the sense that the WWE is not one of these, like, creative machines that can just churn out good ideas over and over again. They are lazy. They don't want to work any harder than they have to. Vince McMahon turns down a fuck ton of good ideas that are coming through the pipeline just because he's Vince McMahon and he doesn't fucking want to. So realistically, you're right in the sense that if they do one every year, they will run out of ideas really quickly and they will get really stupid really quickly.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
In an ideal world, the WWE creative team is actually allowed to be creative, and they are creative, and they are able to come up with cool, unique ideas every year, kind of like Kofi coming up with cool ways to avoid being eliminated every year. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But, if that was the case, I would want a Tower match every year, but otherwise, then I think, yeah, every 2 or 3 years would be cool.
For sure. All right.
I already told you, I want 2 Tower matches and 2 traditional ladder matches this year. I want the Tower matches for Raw because I want The Fiend and Alexa Bliss involved in each of them respectively, and I want the traditional ladder matches to be for SmackDown because SmackDown right now feels much more like it has that sports-like presentation, while Raw is much more like crazy, wild, supernatural, like borderline fucking Lucha Underground style shit right now. They're on off their rockers on Raw right now.
Yeah, they really are.
All right. I think that was our last question, presumably. Yeah. So next up, we've got 5 questions from Revel, who I believe is in chat. Yep, I've seen Revel.
Yes.
2 messages. First question from Revel. You have 30 seconds to live. What are your last words on this godforsaken earth?
Oh, geez, I'm already wasting them. I guess.
You're not on the spot. You can come up with it now.
I lived, loved, and died by philosophy, and life was good. And that's, I think, my parting words to the universe. What about you, friend?
I asked him if there were any special circumstances, like if we had an audience or if we had, anything like that. And he said, shit, I don't know. One in public, one alone, I suppose. So, yeah, you kind of went with the one where you're more alone. I think if I had an audience and, like, if I was, like, on TV or if I had, like, one of those, like, crazy, like, imaginary universal microphones where I could speak to everyone in the world, everyone on the planet, I would just say, stop letting the elite tell you who your enemies are. Know that they're your enemies. Unite against them, and there's nothing they can do to stop you. Do everything in your power to take the power away from them, and you'll live a much better life. I'm out.
Yep. Beautifully said.
All right. Second question from Revel. What are some wrestling terms / slang you use in your everyday life?
Everyday life, huh?
Mark?
Probably. Yeah. Mark was the first word I came up with, too.
Heel?
Damn. Yeah. In my everyday life, yeah, I think Mark is something. Worked is another one. I do that a lot. I know that's not necessarily a wrestling term, but yeah, worked is definitely one. Can't really think of anything else if you want to move on to the next question.
I'm trying to think. Put me over.
Heh.
Like if someone's complimenting me and giving me credit for something, I'm like, oh, thanks for putting me over, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's about it, though. Third question from Revel. Is it best to know everything, or is it best to leave some questions or mysteries unanswered? Man, I feel like this is like the third or fourth question that we've gotten from Revel asking if it's better to not know things than it is to know things. And the answer is the same every time. If you can know something, you should probably want to know it.
Yeah. I think the more interesting thing is, what, kind of counts as a definitive answer, especially to the big questions and stuff like that. But I feel like knowledge should always be pursued. It doesn't always mean it's going to be the right knowledge for some people, but I think for me, and especially as I've gotten older, the beauty in the journey is in the questioning, is in the pursuit itself. And yeah, you should always pursue it. If you have a question about God, the universe, your place in it, I think that journey is an exhilarating thing, and you should always take it. And whatever constitutes knowing, you should pursue it, and you should seek to covet it. So yeah, I don't really support like, oh well, really curious about that. Guess I won't look that up, or I guess I won't pursue that. No, pursue it. Curiosity is there for a reason.
Yeah. Fourth question: would you rather be handcuffed to Will Ospreay or Cody Rhodes for 24 hours?
I'm going to say Cody because I don't want to hear Will explain himself about how he protected a rapist.
I would go with Will just because I feel like I might be able to help him and explain shit to him, whereas Cody seems way more fucking thick-headed and annoying.
Curious which one of us would be right in that scenario. Next question.
Fifth and final question from Revel. Would you rather... Oh, no, that's the same one. Would pro wrestling still exist today if Me Too and other similar SJW campaigns started and caught fire in the 80s? So before we even answer this question, I just want to start by saying, Me Too isn't an SJW campaign. Me Too, and really that's like, it's pretty ignorant to even say that, honestly. Me Too is a bunch of people finally coming out and into public and shining a light on abusers. Like, that's not a campaign. It's not like, I don't understand where you're coming from there. Anyway, John, do you want to answer this question?
Well, no, I mean, I'm glad you started off that way because, like, I'm just going to answer honestly, okay, even if it makes me sound like an asshole. Like, it hasn't stopped wrestling now. because, like, we have to understand any kind of justice movement there's social justice movement. Like, you look at Black Lives Matter. Derek Chauvin, who recently got convicted, just to use a race example before we go back to the whole Me Too and all that thing, everybody was relieved and exhaled when he got indicted. Like, he hasn't even been sentenced yet. And just the idea that we got the guilty verdict was like, oh God, one step forward. That's how bad things are.
Yeah.
And how long, how many fucking decades, centuries even, have people been fucking talking about this shit? And this is what we exhale about. So then to move it to the women's issues, it's pretty much the same thing. Look, power and capital aren't going to give a fuck about a hashtag, about a chorus of tweets, about anything. Because, it doesn't really, immobilize anything. It doesn't really, engage anything materially to change it. Wrestling would have still continued to exist. Why? Because millionaires and people with a vested interest in wrestling on the economic side and the entrepreneurial side would have made it so. Especially when you think about who the complaints would have come from, from women primarily. In the 80s, I know that, they'd already gained the right to vote, shit like that. But it's not like there weren't any asymmetries in the 80s. It's not like women, it's not like we were living in a matriarchy where they could have shut this shit down. If anything, it probably would have been worse for them in the 80s. So no, wrestling wouldn't have ended because too many people, and again, the benefit from misogyny and patriarchy and all this stuff, had a vested interest economically in maintaining wrestling as is. So, no, I don't think a freaking thing would have changed because, it just was firmly entrenched in the power structure. So that's just kind of my take on it.
Yeah. This question kind of blows my mind, too, because how could there be a Me Too movement if social media didn't exist?
Yeah, that's another thing, too. Thank you, actually, because I didn't even think about that. But, yeah, how would you even disseminate? And God knows, however you would have disseminated that information, I'm just going to give an example here, Hulk Hogan touched me inappropriately or some shit, or so-and-so did this. They wouldn't have shut that shit down. They wouldn't have gotten wind of it having the stroke that they have, or Vince even, because everybody keeps saying, one day Vince is going to get his Me Too moment, which, to be honest, I'm shocked it hasn't happened already.
Dude, right?
And when it does happen, I mean, let's be real. When it does happen, what do we expect Vince to really suffer? He's rich. He could pay any fine. He can have the most comfortable setting, even if they would kind of quarantine him, in a carceral sense for a period of months. Nobody's touching him. Because to me, even though I do believe that we should talk explicitly about racial issues or about gender issues, this and that, I think class issues are always going to inform every other issue, even if only tangentially. And given that Vince is a part of the upper class, even in the 80s, if this would have happened to him then, we would have been able to brush it off. Absolutely. So yeah, wrestling being, still very much male-dominated despite women's revolutions and all that shit,
yeah,
it's not fucking going anywhere. It's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing too, is even if social media did exist in the 80s, and Me Too happened to 80s wrestlers, and it did something that weakened the state of pro wrestling to the point that it wouldn't exist in 40 years. Fucking worth it, because quite frankly, pro wrestling isn't as important as not raping people.
Yeah. Honestly, guys, it's funny that we have a podcast and we cover all the wrestling that we do, because whether it's the cultural issues, which Ajin just mentioned, whether it's the health issues with the concussions and all that stuff, if everybody was like, hey, we can get rid of all this, but you could never watch pro wrestling again, bye. I have watched you for damn near my entire life, but I'd part with it if it meant reducing significantly human suffering. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And we don't have unions either. That's another thing, bringing it back to the class issue. So yeah, wrestling is a dumpster fire, culturally and stuff, and nothing could have stopped that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
All right, so up next, we've got 2 questions from Just Alex. It's nice to see Alex asking questions here on a little bit more of a regular basis. First up, thoughts on the releases from WWE this year. Andrade, Samoa Joe, Mickey James, Peyton Royce, Billy Kay, Chelsea Green, Wesley Blake, Tucker, Kalisto, and Bo Dallas.
Okay, so I want you to do me a favor here. Okay, I want you to go through those names again, slowly though, and then I'm going to answer each one.
Let's both. I'll say a name and then we both comment, all right?
Okay.
I'll go first. Andrade, I'm happy for Andrade that he is more free to do what he wants now, but it seems like he actually just wanted to be pushed more in WWE, and if they were not willing to do that, then I'm glad that they set him free.
Copy paste. I wish he would make better decisions as far as like his own value and worth, because I know he's doing the show with Del Rio in Mexico, which I think may be big with Mexican fans. I'd actually
it's in Texas, isn't it?
Oh, is it in Texas?
I thought it was in Texas. Yeah.
I hope it draws well, for his sake. I'm still hoping for him to do a G1, but essentially copy paste what you said. I think you hit the nail on the head pretty well.
Samoa Joe, you can go first for this one.
I don't know how you fucked this up. Because even if he wanted to still wrestle, and even if you had a certain idea about that, maybe it's better that they let him go, but I cannot believe that you didn't at least bring him back long enough to do a Bobby Lashley program to really put Lashley's title reign over. I will say, though, this is actually one where I also kind of have to defend him to be a little bit, because Joe really had a bad string of injuries during his main roster run especially, and I think he's like over 40 years old. So you look at all of that, and despite the fact that Joe, I think, is an amazing asset to any wrestling company as a commentator, as a legitimizer, whatever role you'd want to put him in. Hell, even if you'd want to put a strap on him, I think he's got enough in the tank to have a worthwhile run if it's just, a one-time thing for however long. I can understand why WWE maybe thought, we may not be able to see that upside because the moment it starts to get going, he's going to get injured. So, I don't know. Joe's a weird one, but I'm very excited to see what he does next, honestly.
Yeah. I pretty much copy-paste. It's really unfortunate that he dealt with so many injuries, and apparently, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, apparently the reason that they released him was because they were never going to clear him. Like, he was kind of in that, like, Daniel Bryan situation where they were never going to clear him to wrestle again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he was like, rather than kind of doing what Daniel Bryan did and waiting it out and, serving the company as an out-of-ring an out-of-ring talent and continuing the commentary stuff, I think he just kind of wanted to go somewhere else where he could get cleared and actually do what he loves.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to him. Yep. Next on the release list?
It was Mickie James, and boy, oh boy, am I glad they did, because the dirt that she is bringing out and the tea that she is spilling since getting released is gold.
And not to be disrespectful to Mickie, because I actually do think she's solid as an internet performer, but this is like the biggest contribution she's made to wrestling in a minute, is spilling this tea and stuff, because they weren't using her. Again, Mickie, I think, is very similar to a Joe in the sense that I just got done saying she's very solid in the ring. I think she does add an air of credibility to any women's division she'd want to be a part of, but I would definitely put her in that legitimizer role. Like, give her meaty programs, right? But, give them meaty programs for the other person she's working with, not necessarily just for her. Because if you make it, a bigger deal, it's like, oh, shit, I beat Mickie James. That's fucking huge. Put the women's title on me. So, I think she could be an asset, but it's like, how do you use that asset? That's always the fundamental question. And again, I circle back to her talking about all this stuff, the trash bag they sent her, Carano getting fired, just good shit. So thank you, Mickie, I guess.
Yeah, I think Mickie, alongside Andrade, if he, actively wanted out and they weren't going to do anything with him, was the most logical release in this, because she was not being given anything to do. She's at the tail end of her career as well. And obviously they had no interest in using her. So, yeah, it makes sense. Next on the list are the two Iconics, Peyton and Billy. I don't know if you want to talk about them separately or together.
I already kind of touched on them a little bit earlier with the last question about them hosting WrestleMania. Billy, I think, is really going to have the run of her life. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised, because, wait a minute, how old is Billy Kay right now?
30, I think? 32, maybe?
She's 31. I could see her going away for 3 years and then coming back to WWE. I know she'd be a bit older at 34, but I honestly see her back in WWE. Even if she's kind of the female R-Truth in that way, she's not done with that company. She'll be back. I think when she proves her value going around the world and doing what she wants to do, I think she's going to make a lot of money in the next few years. I think a lot of companies are going to want her. That's why I don't want her to sign with one place too quickly.
Kind of build. You're talking about?
I'm talking about Billy Kay.
Billy Kay. Oh, wow.
I think Billy Kay has a hell of a personality. I think, because here's the thing, even if Peyton's really solid in ring, which I believe that she is, Billy's got more of the personality chops to me. And that's always going to take you farther in my mind in this business. And so I think Billy as a character, I think she'll make good money in the coming years, but I do think she'll be back in WWE. And she could even be like a female R-Truth, or she just has that staying power in her second time around. Peyton is more interesting. I could honestly Peyton being a bit jaded about WWE and just kind of never going back there, and maybe really making her mark in Impact, where she's known more at the end of her career as a knockout rather than as
I felt the exact same way about Peyton. I feel like she's Impact bound for sure.
Yeah, I keep thinking
for no other reason because Tenille will be her foot in the door.
Yeah. So that's really where I see those two. I ultimately see Billy going back to WWE 1 year. Again, I give it 3, no more than 5 years. And Peyton, I just see being having her best stuff be an Impact, and she'll be a future Hall of Famer as a knockout for TNA's Hall of Fame. So
I don't know if I agree with you on the Billy stuff. Because I do agree with you that she's talented enough to do that. But I also think that she cares more about her friendship and her relationship with Peyton than she cares about her own career success. So
interesting.
So I think she'll probably go wherever Peyton goes. I think that they're a package deal. I think they're going to go somewhere together. And I think we agree that if they were to go somewhere together, the most likely place is Impact.
That is, that's understandable. I can see why you'd come to that conclusion. So I guess we'll have to see. Next release
is Chelsea Green. This is the most disappointing one to me. This is the one that kind of kicked me in the gut the most.
Dude, same. With Chelsea Green, I'll just say this very quickly. I never wanted her to be just another women's wrestler in the company. I wanted her to be a character. Because let me tell you something.
Did you see all of the characters that she apparently pitched and created that got turned the fuck down?
I did.
She wanted to be Seth Rollins' sexy nun. How do you turn that down?
I don't know. Maybe Seth got wind of it and he turned it down because maybe he felt weird because he's married to Becky or something. But
even the whole thing where she was willing to be Dominic Mysterio's love interest. Vince, you're crazy.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because it shows that you, me, and Chelsea, I think, all are on a similar vibe where, I really thrive when I get to play a character, and she does. She's a solid enough in-ring wrestler.
She had ideas. Dude, how many times have we heard Vince himself or someone say on behalf of Vince that Vince wants you to come up with ideas. Vince wants you to be pitching stuff for your own character. Vince wants you to basically do the writers' jobs for them, because that means that you're showing incentive. And Chelsea fucking did it. And what did she get paid with? Her pink slip.
Yeah, I think it's a huge missed opportunity for them because, and now this is going to be where I just go full mask off asshole. Alexa Bliss sucks as a character wrestler.
Yeah.
I hate her. It's annoying. It's horrible. If you would have put Chelsea Green with The Fiend, even if you would have done the same shit, I probably would have been biased and more forgiving of it just because I love when Chelsea gets to play a character. Yeah, that's just the truth.
Because she's an actual good actress.
Yeah, that's just my honest feeling. You could do the exact same booking that you've done, but if you do Chelsea instead of Alexa, I find it just a bit more palatable because Chelsea's just better at this. There's just no other way to say it. So yeah, I think they missed a huge opportunity. You could have put her with The Fiend. You could have put her with Seth Rollins. I mean, any of her ideas, if you would have stuck with it, would have been, very interesting. I don't know why they took her away from Robert Stone. Yeah. Because I felt like they were really working well together.
She wins one match with Charlotte Flair in NXT as her tag team partner, and then fires Robert Stone, and it isn't seen for months. And then Robert Stone goes on a fucking tear, producing entertaining television on NXT, and we just don't see Chelsea that whole time.
Yeah. I just think it was a huge loss for the company. I think, in pushing the women's division forward, and I've said this, I think one reason why Bayley is probably my favorite 4 horsewoman, honestly, is because, she's not just a great in-ring wrestler, but she's also got a character. Yeah. She's got, a really defined personality. You could say that all 4 of them do in different ways, of course, Charlotte being the weakest because, she is at everything. But I feel like Bayley's the best at it. Sasha's probably the best in-ring, and I'd honestly rank her maybe even in front of Charlotte, in 3rd for character. Especially right now, I'm kind of, on it. Then Becky's man stuff. I mean, the success speaks for itself. I mean, she moved the division forward objectively. And then just from my own personal taste, Bayley comes in first. Right. But I feel like Chelsea could have been a part of that tradition where, hey, a women's revolution doesn't just have to be, look at me, do all these flips just like the guys, or take these bumps just like the guys. Like, look at me with this actual character that you find compelling and that you want to see what they do next. I still think her best work I've ever seen was as Reclusa in Lucha Underground. I've wanted to see her get back to that kind of place, and it just hasn't happened. So wherever she goes next, whether it's back to Stardom, if it's AEW, which I could very much see, I just want her to be a character and to just do the best she can. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think Chelsea and Andrade are definitely the two biggest dropped balls from this group. I mean, don't get me wrong, they definitely have, missed opportunities with the Iconics and Kalisto and Bo Dallas, and even Tucker, I think, is a missed opportunity. But the two big ones are Chelsea and Andrade to me. Those are the two, like, how the fuck do you just let these people slip through your fingers? Like, this is real talent right here. And you're just like, yeah, we see it, but no, I don't think so.
It's going to be a pass.
Oh, yeah, Chiefin, she wanted to be the third Iconic. WWE was like, we don't like that for you, but we'll do something slightly different from that with Billy.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. This company's trash, bro.
Yeah. So the next one was Wesley Blake, which at this point, who cares?
Yeah, I wish the guy well. I know one of the Revival guys talked about him. And said, like,
he was the least problematic Forgotten Son, from what I understand.
I think the guy just wanted to wrestle, and honestly, I respect it. He wants to make a living doing his craft.
We'll never forget Blake and Murphy, Team Thick.
No, we will not. So, yeah, just wish him well, and we'll see what happens.
Tucker, again, I think, missed opportunity. Dude's a hoss. He's fucking athletic for his size. He's big. He's got an interesting look. His team with Otis was great, and they broke it up for no goddamn reason, and that led to literally nothing other than Otis having a complete waste of a singles one that led to him a run that led to him dropping the Money in the Bank briefcase for, again, no goddamn reason. Why? So that they could put it on The Miz to get Bobby Lashley over as a babyface and then immediately have him be heel actually secretly the whole time by having him drop the fucking herpes. Like, it was legitimately, what the fuck are you doing, WWE? What? Dude, it's crazy to think that the Tucker and Otis breakup was like the domino that set into place that led to Bobby Lashley cutting ties with Cedric and Shelton.
You almost have to respect that when things are awful, the awful things really commit to maximize their value.
Yeah.
It's kind of morbidly impressive, honestly.
It's ridiculous, is what it is.
Oh my god. Tucker, honestly, what I'll say about Tucker is respect for lighting up a joint the moment you got released. Like, because if that's not a fucking mood with this goddamn company, I don't know what is. The funny thing was, I will say about Tucker, too, and I wish I could have said it more, because Heavy Machinery was really starting to grow on me on the main roster. I was becoming a bigger fan of them on the main roster than I was during their NXT run. And I actually got to hear Tucker talk in, like, those, show exclusives that are on YouTube that I always tell you about.
He's a good promo.
Tucker's not a bad promo at all. Like, I almost feel like we shortchanged it a bit only because we love Otis so much, and for good reason. Otis is fucking awesome. And they've also shortchanged him in their own ways. But I wish Tucker well. I really do. I don't know what he wants to do next. That's up to him. But I think whatever he does, I could see him as a really solid mid-card champion, and you know what? I hope he's one of those guys that proves me wrong and is like, fuck you, I'm a world champion here. And I'm like, good for you, man. Good for you. So I'm rooting for him.
Tucker is a guy that I could low-key see doing well in New Japan.
Yeah, you know what? I'd love to see him and Cobb have a match, just to get a feel for that.
I think, I kind of see him as, I imagine him as, another Elgin type, where, he has some power, he's got some athleticism, he can do some impressive stuff. He's charismatic enough, I think, that he can work the Japanese crowd just from, doing the hyping him up thing the way that he did with Heavy Machinery. I think he could actually have a decent run in New Japan, maybe, even a U.S. champion kind of thing.
Yeah. Dude, I was thinking never openweight champion when you said New Japan run.
Yeah,
that's why I wanted him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see.
Kalisto, another missed opportunity. I really liked Kalisto. He's a crazy good talent. And of course, WWE is incapable of recognizing that there could possibly be more than one talented Mexican dude on your roster that could be a potential draw for your Latino audience. It's just impossible. There can only be one, or maybe two at the most if one of them's a face and one of them's a heel.
You know, I'm going to be the weird guy and say that I really wish they would have committed more to his heel run that it seemed like they were teasing him having.
Dude, same. I really, at the end of the day, I just wish they would have committed more to him regardless.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you there, but I just wanted to emphasize, because, like, I feel like every masked luchador, yep. I know they tried that thing with Sin Cara where it was like Sin Cara, what was it, Negros? Because it was,
it's just Spanish for black, yeah. He was black, basically.
And, like, it was the heel version of Sin Cara, which, like, fine. But, like, it would have been so interesting to have a guy Kalisto's stature with the mask, like, quintessential babyface in WWE
like
culture.
An asshole.
And be an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I really wanted to see it because he was like an asshole to the Lucha Dragons.
Just be like New Japan Kushida. Just be an asshole and just fucking counter everything and don't let your opponent get their shit in and just shut their shit down at every turn. And like they start like hyping the crowd up and maybe you act like you're going to go for a tope suicida and then you just don't do it. And you just like go out through the ropes and kick them or something like that. Just wrestle like a combination of New Japan Kushida and Marty Scurll. Just wrestle like an asshole.
Yeah, like, I wanted him to kind of be one of those delusional heels, because, like, again, he seemed to have, like, get a big head with Lucha Dragons. Like, I wanted a segment, like, I'll give you an example. Maybe he's walking in the hallway, and he passes by, Roman and Paul and Jay, and he's like, yo, what's up, Roman? Like, acting like they've been friends his whole life. And Roman just looks at him like, dude, what the fuck? And, like, he just walks right on by. Like, I was really curious what he could have done with that, because we know he can go in the ring. That series of matches that he had with Del Rio for the U.S. title were some of the best in Del Rio's, that particular run that he had with the company. And, I enjoy Lucha Dragons in the ring. Or, excuse me, they're Lucha House Party now. Lucha House Party in the ring. So we know Kalisto can be a viable face and very fun in the ring. But, like, when it seemed like they were exploring, oh, yeah, this guy's an asshole now, I was really curious about that. Because I'm like, it's about damn time. But I don't think they took that nearly as far as they could have, and that's always going to be a source of disappointment for me. Again, I reiterate, whichever company picks him up, I think it's their gain, and I'd like to see him do more character and promo stuff. I don't want him to live with the rest of his career with that whole promo about Lucha stuff where he kind of forgot his lines or whatever. Yeah. Like, I want to see this guy talk. I want to see him have more of a personality because it seemed like he was getting one before they cut him loose.
Yeah. I don't really know where the best place for him to go would be. New Japan, he's definitely not anything other than a junior heavyweight. He's stuck in the junior division. I think Impact and AEW, especially Impact, I would say, is the most likely place that he could go and become a world champion eventually.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Maybe Ring of Honor, but I wouldn't want to work there if I were him. Maybe, didn't he used to work Dragon Gate? Maybe Dragon Gate, I don't know.
Next on the list?
Hell, maybe he'll just go back to Mexico. Shit, I don't know.
Maybe.
The only other person on the list is Bo Dallas.
Okay, I do just want to say one thing about Bo. I wish him luck in his new life if he is going to pursue real estate. Good for him for getting out of the business healthy with, I think, maybe he only suffered one injury his whole time there. And, starting a family and all that stuff. Good for him, or at least maybe even more committing to his family. I don't really know the status of that. I will say, though, I think WWE really dropped the ball with this dude. I fucking love Bo. I really do. I think he was one of the best NXT champions that belt has had, and I say that with the full knowledge of who the champions have been since Bo's run. I still think his run holds up. And when you can say that, when you're kind of the place where it's like, oh yeah, all of your indie faves go here. Samoa Joe, former champion. Nakamura, not necessarily an indie fave, New Japan, but you get what I'm trying to get at. Former champion. All this stuff, I'd still say when you put all those champions together, Bo, I might even put him in my top 5 best NXT championship runs just from an entertainment standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, let's never forget, dude, all these heels want to talk about heat. This is a guy, when he would come out, the crowd would literally stand up and show their backs to Bo Dallas.
Yep.
Like,
dude, I'm telling you, that's the WWE dropped the ball when they introduced him to the main roster, having assumed that everyone just was in on the joke. That was their number one issue with him. Like, they debuted him on the main roster as like this inspirational heel, but the way that he became such a loathed and hated heel, he started out getting fucking Rocky Maivia heat. He started out getting pushed way too fast, way too vigorously. He won the NXT championship way too goddamn soon in his career. Everyone hated him for it. He started leading into it and calling way more experienced wrestlers than him kids that can look up to him and maybe be as good as him one day. And they started really leading into it, and that's what led to him being such an incredible heel. He didn't start out that way. They had to work for that shit.
Yeah, and then once they found it, he fucking ran with it and scored touchdown after touchdown. And the idea that you wouldn't even try and replicate that with an Intercontinental title run, like the idea that he never won that Intercontinental title, and you could have done segments with like past Intercontinental champions, you know, especially because Bo, he's been with the company so long. I know some legends that are now dead were probably still alive, and he could have been like, oh, always nice to meet a fan. Good luck, kid.
Yes!
Just, kind of leave.
Exactly. You could have started out
ball.
with that, and that would have set him. That would have made him in so much better position than he actually was because of the stupid fucking lack of awareness on WWE's part where they think, oh, we'll just debut him as this inspirational heel that thinks he's a face and it'll work. No, he was a face that people hated. And then over time, he slowly turned into a heel that still thought he was a face. Like, that was the whole thing. That was the joke. That's what you had to be in on. And they didn't use that at all to introduce him to the main roster crowd. And it was awful. It was a bust.
And here's the thing, dude. Like, even if you wanted to start out with, like, the motivational heel, like, that thinks he's a face, that's fine. But you didn't really commit to it as much as you could have. Like, again, just a segment off the top of my head. Imagine he goes to a really dominant world champion. Maybe John Cena. And he's like, oh, I saw that you lost that tag match last week. And then, like, I don't know, he goes into, like, this speech. And Cena being Cena, he humors it because he knows he's just going to be able to clap back. And Bo just goes on and on, thinking that he's pumping up the fucking WWE champion in the face of the company. Like, again, going back to that idea of he's utterly fucking delusional.
Yep.
And you never committed to that. You never played with possibility. I almost wonder if in some way, now I love Bray Wyatt. And that's why it breaks my heart to see how he's being booked again after resuscitating his career again. But I almost have to wonder if in some aspects Bo isn't better at this wrestling thing, which is why it kind of bummed me out. Like, for my own selfish reasons when I heard he was going into real estate. As a human being, you do you. You get one life to live. I wish him well, truly.
Yes.
But I really wish
he's playing it smart. He's using the money that he made with his body to save himself from having to continue putting his body on the line.
Exactly. It's just a shame because, like, I did say, I said it about, like, the whole WWE acquiring other businesses thing. I described wrestling as, like, an art form, and I believe that's certainly a closer fucking approximate than the people that call it a sport. But, you know, thinking about it in that way, you always want to see an artist kind of do their best work, and I feel like Bo was never given that opportunity, so his best work is always going to be that NXT Championship reign, which, again, I would fight people that reign still holds up. So I wish him well. I thank him for the memories. I just wish he got to do so much more because the idea that this dude isn't going to be remembered as one of the best Intercontinental champions of all time, which he could have been, to me is an utter crock. So that's what I just wanted to say about Bo Dallas.
All right. That might be one of the longest answers to a Q&A question we've ever given, but we felt like being thorough because I'm pretty sure nobody else asked this exact question. So, second question from just Alex. Why is Vince McMahon so concerned about getting over his way? Wait, I misread that. Why is Vince McMahon so concerned about wrestlers getting over his way instead of organically?
Because, Alex, boomers only care about what they want. And Vince thinks he knows better than everybody because he's, got all of the power, and research has shown that, hey, the more power you accumulate, the more your empathy goes down, so he can't put himself in anybody else's shoes because he's always constantly Vince McMahon, the smartest man in the room.
At least he thinks so.
I like how my mom kind of chimed in there.
That last second diss. Nice.
In my opinion, it's a control issue. It's literally just he feels like he has to control everything in his life. He feels like he has to micromanage everything. And when it comes to his wrestling company, he doesn't want somebody doing something that would throw a wrench in the things that he has planned down the line. Even though I don't really know how elaborate his long-term planning is anymore, because it seems like that's kind of going out the window with time. But I
have to wonder, too, just to kind of expound upon your control issue, how much that stems from, like, he wants his talent to be indebted to him. This way they feel like they don't have any other options.
Yeah, that's a really fair point, too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like, oh, if I can be attributed to their success and their character, they won't want to go to Hollywood or MMA or any of this other stuff that's cooler than me.
Well, and we already know that Vince doesn't want to create any major stars for that very reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think we can move on. Next set of questions are from Alonzo on Twitter, aka Ace the Skylord.
Ace.
Over under 50%. There is a Stardom match at Wrestle Kingdom next year. I think 100%. So I'll say over.
I'm gonna say over. I think it's finally time. I think it's because when he says at Wrestle Kingdom, I mean, I took his question to mean that we'd actually see and not like a dark match, right?
No, I mean, that's not how I interpreted it. He just said there's a Stardom match at Wrestle Kingdom next year. There's been for the last 2 years, so I think there's gonna be another one.
Oh, well, yeah, in that case, 100, but if he meant more like at Wrestle Kingdom, like that we can all see and not a dark match, I would still say over. No, I think it's time.
If we're talking about one that's actually, like, going to go up on New Japan World, that's actually a part of the show itself, I'm going to say under. I would say, like, 5%.
Wow, even after all this time, do you think it's ever going to happen then? I mean, it's been 3 years.
I have my doubts.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I think it'd be really cool for Wrestle Kingdom, but yeah, we'll see.
I agree. It would be, but Japan's weird about this stuff. Second question from Alonzo: why does WWE want to go back to one-night WrestleManias when we have proof that 2 nights makes it a lot more enjoyable?
It could be. I'm going to answer this question seriously because I have thought about this. It could be an expenditure thing. Because I don't know, if you're doing 2 nights, don't you have to pay the venue for 2 nights?
Yep.
Rather than just one really long night?
The venue for 2 nights. You probably have to set up 2 nights in a row, and maybe even have to tear it down 2 nights in a row. I don't know exactly if they have to tear it down after the first night and then put it back up on the second night, or if they just leave it up overnight. They probably would have to tear at least a good amount of it down so that if there's weather, they don't have anything get destroyed. If there's wind, nothing gets knocked over and destroyed. Like that kind of stuff. So it's probably a combination of expenses and labor, which then again comes back to Vince McMahon with expenses because he's the one that has to pay the laborers to do the work. So yeah, it really probably is an expense issue, unfortunately, and which means that it's most likely that it's going to happen. That it's going to go back to the one night because it's an expense issue, because that's the type of issue that actually will move the needle for Vince.
Yeah, so it all comes back to the bottom line, essentially, to put it succinctly.
Capitalism!
It's the greatest fucking system there is.
Seth Stadler, a.k.a. Mets fan, with one question. Have either of you ever watched any Dark Side of the Ring documentaries? And if so, which one was your favorite? I have not, so I am opting out of this question. John, you can go.
I unfortunately watched the Benoit one, and I say unfortunate not because it wasn't well done, it was, but because it mentally destroyed me, and I never want to experience that again. I guess by default it was my favorite because it's the only one that I watched, but actually that's not true. I also watched the Owen Hart one, and I guess for this season I do plan on watching one that they're planning to do on the Dynamite Kid, again because of the Benoit connection. But yeah, I guess the Benoit one because, you know, he's always going to be one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And, you know, he had, to say that he had a profound effect on my life might even be understating it. So I guess just for that reason, it's always going to be my favorite. Although the Owen one, I will say about the Owen one, fucking again, WWE is fucking trash. You learn about the logistics of the incident and how they had everything set up. It's like they had a paperclip attached to Owen, and they're like, oh, there's your harness. Like, they're fucking culpable to me. Like, absolutely. So I think that one for the insight was really good, but the Benoit one, just for how deep it got, like, you know, that's always going to leave a mark on me. Plus, in a way, I had to watch it because apparently it was a Q&A question that month from Mark Schoeneman, so I'm glad I came prepared.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Next question, next set of questions are from Alex Cage. First up, if you had to create your own superhero / villain, what would they be and what would be their intentions?
Can I go first on this one?
Sure.
Like, because I've actually thought about this lately, and I swear to you, I haven't done in so long where I get, like, an advanced look at the questions, because I like to plan for the more thorough questions. This is just something I've been thinking about, because you and I do watch a lot of superhero shit, getting ahead of the rotten butter question that I know is inevitably coming. I would love, and I know they said, like, create a superhero, supervillain, so I'm gonna take a liberty with this question. I would love a movie where like it's almost Spider-Man-esque, right? And it's aesthetic and like the soundtrack. Guy discovers that he has powers. Maybe it's like flying. You know, you do the real basic shit to start, right? And they're like, holy shit, I have powers. And they have a really supportive family and friends. And okay, so we got flying, maybe laser vision, maybe they can duplicate themselves, stuff like that. And the whole story is really like an origin story. They're learning how to use their powers. They get the costume. And then at the final fucking act, it pivots and he becomes a villain. And the track just changes like a record scratch. And the friends are so confused because it's like, wait, we were so excited about you having powers. What are you doing? Yeah, I'm going to kill everyone that ever bullied me. And I'm going to do this to take on a completely dark tone. So I would love to create a superhero that actually at the very end is a supervillain. I think that'd be fucking hilarious. You do a Spider-Man-esque movie, all this hope, all the joyous score when they're flying for the first time, really working the people, you know? Then the final act, it's like, oh yeah, I really had a good think on this, and I decided I'm gonna be an asshole. I love that. I'd love that. That's 100% the superhero that I would make. It was pretty basic. Seem like they're going to be great because they have a great support system and everything. They really don't even have a reason to be an asshole. They're just like, oh, I got bullied a few times, and you know what? The world's awful. Fuck you. So yeah, I think that's what I'd go with. Feeling pretty good about that.
Okay, well, I have a very different idea from you. I would make a superhero who's able to turn invisible, right? So they're able to go completely undetected, and they start saving people from crimes by just, you know, fucking grabbing the person that's committing the crime and preventing them from doing it, and like, you know, restraining them with like a full Nelson or a chicken wing or simple moves that don't cause major harm but can, you know, prevent people from doing what they want to do. And eventually it starts to pile up to the point that all of these people that they stopped from committing the crime for the first time just fucking go back and do it again the next night anyway. So they realize that just stopping them from doing it the one time isn't enough, because if they keep doing this, it's going to keep happening forever, and you can't stop more than one crime at a time. So they figure out that they need to send a message to these criminals. So what they start doing is they start branding these criminals with a fucking fire prod, with a fucking, like, almost like a cattle prod with their logo on it. I don't know what the logo would be. It would have to be, you know, workshopped. But they start branding these people with a cattle prod right on their fucking face, on their cheek, so that everyone can see that they attempted to commit a crime, avoid them, you know, and of course then they're learning their lesson in the sense that, like, they're being put through immense pain while they're trying to do this and being punished for it. And it's much less likely for them to try and do it again. And over time, this brand that this dude is burning into these criminals' faces starts showing up in other cities. And it starts to become, at first, a statewide, and then eventually a national, and then eventually an international. And over time, it becomes a worldwide phenomenon. People all over the world, criminals all over the world, are getting this fucking brand on their face. But this dude has no clue who else is doing it. He's the only one that he knows of that's doing it, and he's only doing it in his city. So there are other people doing this to other people in the world. And then it turns out that there has been this whole fucking movement formed around this idea that if you brand criminals, you no longer have to worry about them committing crimes, because as soon as you see them, you can refuse their to do service for them. You can refuse to be in their vicinity. You know that they're a criminal before you see them. And it all leads to this crazy, like, borderline dystopian world where if you have this brand on your face, no matter what you did, you can even be framed this way. But if you have this brand on your face, you're just seen as a fucking leper. And everyone avoids you and treats you like you are the biggest piece of shit. And it's kind of a commentary on, it turns into eventually a commentary on almost cancel culture in a way. Because it's like somebody that does a bad thing one time all of a sudden is a complete leper to the rest of society forever. And it's like once you ramp it up and you take it to this extreme, it becomes not about justice and more about just fucking, like, treating people poorly if they've made a mistake in their life. You know what I mean? And, like, taking it too far. And this dude who originally had good intentions and took it a little too far ends up seeing his work just fucking snowball into a hellscape.
Yeah. You had me a cattle prod personally, so I'm sorry.
Wow, sir. You need to wind it down right now, okay?
No. Next question.
Second question for me from Alex. What did you think of the European Super League that was going to happen but then failed because of the fans? I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Next question. Rotten Butter, first question, go.
Oh god. Well, my family and I, we watched the latest season of The Challenge. That was fucking great. And, let's see, what else did we do? Oh, we've been watching Billions. Oh, that show is so good. Paul Giamatti is a national treasure, and I will fucking shank anyone that says otherwise. So that's been great. Watched the Castlevania trailer today for season 4 that looks so good. Speaking of trailers, Love, Death, and Robots season 2, or series 2, I think they're calling it.
I can't wait. It's only 2.5 weeks, dude. It's so soon.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Absolutely fucking awesome. Let's see, what else? Obviously, you and I have played a lot of Rocket League and Among Us.
And Brawlhalla.
And Brawlhalla. Yeah, God, yes, Brawlhalla. Obviously been doing my nerd shit. You guys I never go into that shit. What else have I been watching independently?
Just to clarify for people that aren't 100% sure, when you say your nerd shit, you mean your philosophy nerd shit.
Yeah, that's correct, sir, yes.
See, when you just say nerd shit, 99.99% of people are assuming that you're talking about comic books or video games or, stuff relating to traditionally nerd shit. You're talking about a very, very specific niche that you're just a geek about.
Yeah, exactly. God, I have ordered so many books. So many. I've got 11 coming this Monday. It's
Holy shit.
Some would call it a problem. I call it me living my best life. Learn the difference.
It costs you a hot 500 or something like that?
I mean, $214. So
that's not as bad as I thought it would be. That's not that bad.
Yeah, I'm actually budgeting better, even though it doesn't sound like it. Like, I'm gonna have over 1,000 in my account this month, so I'm feeling pretty good.
That's under $20 per book, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, see, the math agrees with me. We're doing Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well. Even though it's propaganda, I'm entertained by it. You can't be in political mode all the fucking time. So, that's pretty good. Andy Samberg's a fucking treasure.
He is! I love Andy Samberg.
Yeah.
God, I hope he's not a piece of shit behind the scenes.
Oh, God, dude, I worry about that. Ever since I've been watching him more, I really worry about that. Yeah, what else did we do? Because I always feel like when it comes to this question, obviously you and I have watched a shit ton of movies. We finished Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yep. We're finishing out Invincible tonight. We've been keeping up with that amazing show.
Oh my God, yes. I know Nevertell came out with a new song on the music side, and I'm always grateful for that. I will say too, this is something that's been big for me this month. I have slowly gotten more into hip hop and rap again. I've gotten on my Kevin Gates shit. Kevin Gates is fucking awesome. There's been like this beatbox freestyle challenge that's been going on, and the beat is fucking fire. And it's allowed me to discover a few artists. Dax is pretty good, if you guys haven't heard of him. Oh my God, I saw the craziest fucking music video. Okay, I need to be careful how I say this. We don't need TWitWoW associated with any, gang wars. So I just want to say, TWitWoW and its affiliates do not know anybody in this beef, okay? And we don't want any of this beef. But it's this song called Who I Smoke with, Youngin, Ace, and 2 other guys who aren't coming to me. But I know one guy, I really liked his verse. And, it's Who I Smoke. It's on a fucking golf course. And the beat is a fucking remix of Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles.
Oh my God.
And it's every bit as amazing as you think it is. And it's about their dead ops. I guess they're dead opposition. And they put their fucking names on the screen, bro. They're part of the chorus. They name the victims as part of the chorus. It goes so hard. And then the guy that they target this with, he goes to Young and Aces. He goes to his brother's gravesite as a response. Like the beef is fucking real, dude. Like I'm like, holy shit. Like I don't want any one of you to like get got. NLE Choppa is another great one. He did that beatbox challenge and he spits like it feels like 1,000 words a minute. So I'm really getting more into like rap and hip hop slowly. Polo G is another one. That dude is on the come up. I hear he's got an album Hall of Fame coming out. He did a song Rap Star. In like 2 weeks, I feel like it's gotten 38 million views. I didn't know this dude was that popular. Obviously, NF's mixtape. I don't even think that was, I think that was March. That wasn't April. But obviously, I've still been listening to some NF here and there. Because, you know, his mixtape, I think, is some of the best stuff he's done. I can do the more like looking inward kind of stuff, the more therapy stuff. But when he's talking his shit, like, oh, I'm actually good at this, that's his best stuff. Listening to some more Juice WRLD here and there. Fucking Eminem, some older stuff. So, yeah, just listen to a lot of good shit. Broadening my relationship with that genre feels really, really good. Oh, God, and there's another one. What's his name? I probably would, Lil TJ. I've listened to 2 songs by him, including Oh Well, which is a really good one. He's more of those, like, melodic rappers.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's cool. And obviously, being in that community, or, like, being in that genre, I also listen to more people like No Life Shaq, who's a reactor, Knox Hill, who does bar breakdowns, Laid Back, who's another reactor of these types of tracks. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. Like, a lot of fun with that. And yeah, I think you guys can even tell by my answer. The idea that I went that deep, you know I've been getting busy. Oh, God, and speaking of Kevin Gates, who was that one female rapper I listened to recently? Was her name Rennie? Yeah, Rennie Rucci. Her and Kevin Gates have done, like, 2 songs together, and they're both pretty great. So, yeah, I've been listening to a lot of people. It's fucking awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
It's really cool to hear how enthusiastic you're being about music right now.
Yeah, I probably weren't expecting that, huh? So yeah, that was really fucking cool. Like just me expanding into that. I can't think of anything else at the moment, and I don't want to stall the question, so I'm going to hand it over to you for now. If I think of anything else, then I'll just take the ball back.
Well, the one big thing that you forgot to mention is that we've been on our Marvel kick. We watched Daredevil Season 3, and we've been watching Runaways. We got through the first season.
Yes.
Third of Season 2, and it is really interesting. For me personally, I have been playing the fuck out of Bloons Tower Defense 6 on Steam. It's even available on mobile. And it is highly, highly addictive. Probably going to actually play that if I decide to do a draft stream later tonight, which I've still not decided on if I want to do that or not. The draft is happening right now. Trevor Lawrence was just selected first overall by the Jaguars. Seems like the Jets are on the clock, and it looks like a lot of people have been speculating for a little while now that it's going to be Zach Wilson that they pick, which I think is a bad pick, but we'll talk about that at some other time when it's more appropriate. As far as music goes, I was actually on a real Harry Styles kick this week. His most recent album, God, what is the name of that album? I don't even. Let me see if I can find it. I probably have it still pulled up on my Spotify, actually. It's nice that I have a Spotify now, because I used Napster for so long. Although, dude, here's a crazy thing. I actually saw, apparently Napster does pay a higher percentage, like a higher equity of the money that they make from people listening to music on their app to the artist than any other app.
That's really cool. I hear Spotify doesn't pay their artists at all. I want to stop using it, but it's so convenient, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, so the new album by Harry Styles is called Fine Line. It's not even that new. It came out in 2019, but I was just listening to it this week and really, really into it. Golden is great. Watermelon Sugar is fucking amazing. Adore You is really... A lot of the songs on there are really, really good. Playlist-wise, let's see. I was actually just listening to Niall Horan, I think. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Earlier. I have 2 playlists that I'm following on Spotify that I have downloaded. Pop Rising and Today's Hot Top Hits that have a bunch of songs on them that I like. Griff has a song called Black Hole that I like. Let's see. Doja Cat and SZA put out a song called Kiss Me More that I like. Olivia Rodrigo. I wasn't a big fan of Driver's License, and it's kind of warmed up. Like I don't dislike it anymore. I just kind of deal with it when it comes on. But her newer song Deja Vu is really good. I really like it. Let's see. Sabotage by BB Rex is good. Montero, John, have you seen the video for Montero yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh my, it's like the most controversial thing. It's hilarious.
Wait, that's Lil Nas, right?
Yes, Lil Nas X, yes.
Dude, I've seen maybe only like 30 seconds, because like No Life Shaq reacted to it, but like, God, do I even want to get into this? I feel like because Lil Nas, we know he's like openly gay and like he's loving clapping back at like writers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't really sit well with him. Of course, he doesn't want to like openly say it, right? Because you know what happens. But like, you could tell he was visibly uncomfortable in the music video. So like, that was the only interaction I had with the video was his reaction. I didn't even finish it because like I felt weird about him feeling weird. I'm like, dude, it's just, you know, it's this guy owning himself, you know, whatever. So I really should go though and watch the whole thing on its own merits.
Dude, here's the thing. You're right, you should, but the song itself is just fucking fire. It's such a good song. I've become a really big fan of a few newish artists, like younger artists like Ian Dior, the Kid Laroi. I know there are more. A7S, I think, is not really new, but I just discovered him not that long ago, and his voice is just fucking crazy. Like, have you ever heard of Mr. Probs?
No.
Well, his voice is kind of like his. They're kind of crazy. Illenium, I really like.
I feel like I've heard of Millennium, actually.
You probably have. Just Like You is an NF song that I like quite a bit.
Oh, nice.
I like that song a lot. Yeah, there are quite a few. Benny Blanco isn't new by any means, but I do like a lot of his music. 24 Karat Golden, holy shit. I think every song that 24 Karat Golden has ever put out, I've liked. They're so good. I shouldn't even say there, because I'm pretty sure it's just one dude, but so good. Yeah, I'm gonna stop there because otherwise I'm gonna start getting repetitive. So yeah, that's like music. I've been playing a lot of BTD 6. I played a little Maple Story, but the thing is, that's like I have to really be in the mood for it. Like, that's one of those games where if I just think Maple Story is a game I could play, I'm not gonna play it when I think that. Maple Story is one of those games where I have to like fucking obsess about it for like a week, and then I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm opening it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I am with that game. Let's see. I've been just keeping up with a lot of my favorite content creators. You know, Valkyrie, Disguised Toast, Corpse Husband, pretty much the OTV and Friends crew. You know, Ash on LOL, Saikuno, Hafu, Janet, ex Choco Bars, Peter Park, Foosley, Mi Young, Arya, Wendy, Natsumi, Sidion, like that whole group. They just did, there was this, there's a new, like talk show almost, like it's a game show, not a talk show. There's a new game show on Twitch that just started this week called Schooled. Have you heard of this, John?
No, I haven't actually.
They bring on 8 really well-known Twitch streamers, and they have questions ranging from kindergarten to 12th grade. Each grade, there are 3 questions, and if you get a question wrong, you get an F, and if you get 3 Fs, you're off the show for the day. You get kicked off. So and at the end of elementary school, so after 5th grade, and then at the end of middle school, which is after 8th grade, you get opportunities to answer a harder question to remove an F from your scoreboard. So it's like this whole thing where it's just, how smart are these streamers that you watch? And it is surprisingly embarrassing. Like, the one dude, Masayoshi, his real name's John, he got 2 of the most ridiculous questions wrong. So the first one was, what is the name of a 6-sided shape?
Oh, hexagon, right?
Yeah. This was a kindergarten level question, and he put pentagon.
Oh, God. I can't even shame too much, though, because I hesitated. I really thought I was going to get the wrong answer there.
Well, the thing is, no, you have 30 seconds to write down your answer. So it's not like an on the spot, you have to know it immediately or you lose kind of thing. You have time.
Right.
Actually, it might have even been a minute. I think it might even be a minute, not 30 seconds.
Oh, jeez.
That. And then the second one was, what color is the result of mixing red and blue together?
Doesn't red and blue make green?
That's what he said. No, it's purple. It's purple.
Damn. Okay. Well, see, yeah. Like.
No, yeah, green is yellow and blue. Green is.
Oh, that. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, he got those two wrong, and he got 2 Fs in kindergarten, and then like I think everyone, all but 2 people, were done by the 4th grade. Like by the time it was the 4th grade, there were only 2 people left. Do you know who Alinity is?
No.
Okay, well, I'm not saying she's a good person. I think the thing that she's probably most famous for is throwing her cat on stream. But
oh, Jesus Christ.
she fucking won. She fucking won the first one. And I'll tell you why, dude, too. She was born and raised in Colombia. And apparently they have a better education system than the U.S.
Oh, my God.
It's embarrassing, dude. It's embarrassing. But yeah. So she won the first episode of Schooled. And apparently they're planning on doing this weekly, so I'm excited to keep watching that. The other people that were on that I knew were Sidion, who I think I mentioned earlier. She's really cool. She's a sweetheart. And Tubbo, who is like a fucking 17-year-old in the UK that's just a fucking millionaire now because he's a famous streamer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even do that well just because he, I guess, dropped out of school, because why the fuck do you need school? You're a millionaire from streaming. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, he lives with another British celebrity, like a Twitch star named Tommy Innit. I don't know if you ever heard of Tommy Innit.
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. So this is all just pointless for you. But yeah, that's like the group of streamers that Sweet Anita is another one. She actually just uploaded today. I've been looking forward to watching her video. And then I also like to keep with a lot of tech YouTubers, Linus Tech Tips, Marcus Brownlee, MKBHD, Matthew Moniz, Dave 2D, aka Dave Lee. Who am I missing? Owner Disown. Gizmo, Slip Tech, and then who's the one that does all the laptop reviews? Jared's Tech. That's the other big one. And I watch most of the videos that those tech YouTubers put out. John, I know we watched the April Mark Rober video about his son with autism. That was really interesting, and it was cool to learn about. I think that about covers it as far as content that I've consumed for the month. So I think we can move on. You feel good about it, John?
I feel good about it, man. Let's move on.
Second question from Rotten Butter. At what point do you think the use of violence is justified?
I'll always advocate for it in self-defense. Like,
okay.
Like, if the Klan is, like, burning a cross on your lawn, or if Nazis are, like, trying to run over protesters and stuff, I wouldn't blame people if they surrounded that car, pulled the guy out, and beat the crap out of him, honestly. Because,
I would say violence is justified when it is necessary, or I guess that's a tautology. Violence is necessary when it is the only option available to prevent violence from being brought onto innocent people.
I'm going to be honest, too, about this question. I've really grown to hate this question, and I'll tell you why. I feel like it's always put on individuals, but it's never put on the state itself, which has a monopoly of violence. Like, ask that question to the state. Like, hey, when is violence justified? When you're bombing Syria and the Middle East and you're leaving people with fucking, they have children with birth defects, or you take people away from their families. Like, I don't know. It seems like it's never fucking justified, because maybe if you had proper resource allocation and you didn't allow wealth inequality to go unchecked, you wouldn't need to fucking bomb other countries and do shit to have your own citizens' needs met. Empire's a fucking scam in that way. You don't need to fucking expand to take care of your own. There are other, more humane ways to fucking do it. Like, that's the thing. We always ask it of individuals, should I punch this person or not? And don't get me wrong, it's not that it's not important, but, like, again, much like with climate change and all this other stuff, why don't you fucking ask those questions to the superstructures? And I'm not coming at Ron Butter. Like, I understand why he asked the question. I'm saying, in general, I wish we'd ask this question more of, political institutions and statist powers. Because they're the ones, again, I subscribe to the anarchist definition of the state, which is the monopoly on the use of violence. They have the military, they have the police. They're the most violent entities out there. And obviously the right-wing factions, Nazis are a thing again. And again, I 100% am, punch Nazis. Of course, always try de-radicalization measures, but if they're getting, like, fucking insignias, like, on their skin, and they're burning fucking, God, what are the fucking religious places of worship for Judaism? Not mosques, because that's Islam.
I don't know.
Jesus Christ. Whatever it is, religious places of worship. Synagogue. That's it. Synagogue.
Okay. I was about to say the temple, but yeah, you're more right.
Yeah, synagogues. Then it's like fuck them up. Like honestly, because that's terrorism. That is terrorism. Straight up. So. Yeah, but I think we really need to start asking this question to superstructures, because I'd like to know, hey, why did you bomb Syria? Why are you terrorizing Palestinians? And this and that, because that's the violence I'm definitely concerned about. Not if one guy should punch a fucking Nazi or not that might have been terrorizing a black couple or a black person or whatever. So, I do like your definition, though, to be fair, on a more intimate individual basis. I do think you have it right there.
Yeah. Violence is necessary when it prevents violence being brought onto innocent people, which, by that definition, someone should go punch Joe Biden in the face before he bombs another fucking Middle Eastern country. Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The second or third question from Rotten Butter: why don't you just put the whole world in a bottle, Superman?
I never get these references. I know you often feel old. You're starting to make me feel old. Or maybe I am. It is a sign of my youth that I don't get these references. I don't know. But yeah, what movie was that from?
I think this might actually be a comic quote.
Oh. Well, I mean, who would put the whole world in a bottle? That's just weird. Villains are weird. Get a hobby. You're never going to take over the world. It's over. Just give it up.
You okay?
I guess. What's the next question?
All right. The next set of questions are from our boy Abel.
Hooray! Get ready for the really heavy, thought-provoking shit!
Well, the first one's kind of easy. What are your thoughts on Joe Biden's presidency thus far? What are the best and worst things about it? To me, the best things about it are that he has been very no-nonsense about the pandemic. He has been doing a lot of good work as far as getting people vaccinated that want to be vaccinated. He reinstated the mask mandate, and he hasn't budged on it. We've gotten checks, even though that comes with a fucking asterisk, because they weren't $2,000. They should have been, but they weren't. And worst stuff is all the shit that he hasn't done. But to be fair, he's over-delivered, because literally the only thing that he actually promised on the campaign trail was to wear a mask and take the pandemic seriously. And he's done that, but he's also given us checks, and he's done a few more things that have been helpful. So he's over-delivered on his promises. The bar was just that fucking low. John, your turn.
I want to be sensible about this, because I know how I am. Believe me, folks, I do have self-awareness. I'm not a completely lost cause. I do agree with what Ashton said. I just want to make that perfectly clear. I think everything Ashton enumerated from the Biden presidency on the positive side is valid. Obviously, continuing U.S. imperialism, we just got done mentioning how he bombed Syria. Big no-no. I'm never going to be fucking down with imperialism. Even if it leads to more palatable conditions here in the U.S., it's not worth that river of blood that he causes and that his predecessors have caused. I will say, as kind of like a canvas criticism to save time, I think the worst thing he has done, or maybe it is more appropriate to say hasn't done, is really use his leverage. You have Democratic control right now, because if he didn't, maybe I'd be a bit more lenient, because he is just one guy, even if he is the fucking president. But the idea that, you're always trying to compromise with Republicans. They did not give and they never give a fuck every time they're in power. They never give a fuck about left-leaning ideas. Ever. It's like, let's do the most traditional, reactionary shit, and let's just fucking cram it in there. And this guy's all about, we'll make concessions, Joe Manchin, he doesn't want this, that's fine. Really, I have to say, too, more than Joe Biden, I've become very critical of the squad. Like, honestly, I have really soured on the squad. AOC and all them being like, oh, Joe Biden's been great. Relative to our expectations, sure, but like, I agree with other people. I do watch Secular Talk a lot. That is one personality I listen to on YouTube. That's another thing I've been doing this month, to circle back to that first question. Like, you should never be giving this guy credit. Even when he is doing a good job, be like, okay, well, there's still this stuff to do. Because, like, $15 minimum wage doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I think that just died. Like, they're just not going to do anything with that.
I think if they go for that again, it won't be until January of next year.
Jesus Christ. Infrastructure. Here's the thing about the infrastructure bill. It's nice that he's talking about it, and it's nice that money's going into it. But apparently, from what I've heard and seen, like, I think it was $2.9 trillion. Like, that barely gets anything off the ground. Like, if we wanted to get serious, we'd be talking about $10 trillion for infrastructure. Like, that's another thing, too. If you want me, and I know this is kind of a side tangent, but just really thinking about that, all this talk about patriotism and loving our country, I'm not going to love a country that's, like, fucking falling apart. If you wanted me to take pride in this country, like, everybody's always, like, fear-mongering about China and shit. Their fucking super infrastructure system, like that one big rail, I guess, that they're doing that could take you, like, anywhere, like, it's actually gotten off the ground. There's actually, like empirical stuff happening with that. It's not just, like, a fucking
who's
pipe
doing
dream.
this?
I think it was China. They had, like, some kind of super railway system or something. And that's why I'm saying, like, we always fearmonger about China, but, like, their infrastructure's moving into the future. Meanwhile, we have crumbling roads and bridges. And, so, like, I feel like you could do more there. Canceling student debt. I feel like he gave some mealy-mouthed thing, like, oh, I can't do that. But I think he's actually shown that he could do it via executive order. He's just going to choose not to. So, here's the thing. I don't believe in the whole idea of pushing Biden left. I kind of lied to myself just so that it would be easier to vote for him, just because everything was like a fucking dumpster fire. And yes, again, to circle back, I think everything that Ashton said was valid, and I would not take anything away from that. But you did say also the worst things, Abel. Obviously, bombing Syria was one. Just kind of reasserting yourself as an imperialist presence on the international stage. That is always going to be bad. Even though Trump wasn't really any better, he actually increased drone strikes from Obama, who was doing a lot of drone strikes. $15 minimum wage, if they do circle back to it, it was mealy mouth. I'm curious what they're going to do now with Derek Chauvin indicted. I've been hearing that they want to do police reforms, but I'm not really expecting much from the guy. That one of his hottest moments on the campaign trail was shoot him in the leg, not in the heart. So we'll have to see how that goes. I will say, too, another thing he did that somewhat impressed me, but I always am very tentative to give credit, and you know why. He did encourage Amazon employees to unionize. I forget what area he was in giving a speech, but he actually came out as, like, pro-union pretty explicitly. So that was nice.
It's weird because when we got Biden, I expected a slightly further right Obama, and as it turns out, he's actually a little further left than Obama.
That's what a lot of people have been saying, and apparently, depending on who you believe, there have been sources that say, like, Biden gets really excited when people say that this is more progressive than what Obama did. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and again, I think in some ways it already has, but, like, I'm thinking by the second or third year in this dude's presidency, you're really not going to see the needle move much. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, like, yeah, he's done good things, and I think he needed to do a lot of good things just to get us out of the hole that a Trump presidency put us in. But I think once in his mind things have stabilized, you're really not going to see, much change. Because I feel like this pandemic would be illuminating to anybody else about, hey, maybe we should have more serious conversations about the wage or about UBI or about this kind of program or that kind of initiative. And they're going to do just enough to get America back on track and their presence on the world stage. And then I think they're going to kind of recede in that way as far as progressive measures are concerned. Which is why, again, if you want to know who I'm really angry at, it is the squad, because they should be using their leverage, and I don't think they are nearly enough. I feel like AOC, it came out even that she was donating to fucking establishment Dems campaigns, and some of them even gave her her money back because they didn't want her money, because they didn't want to be tied up with her policies. And so, yeah, I've just kind of lost faith in them, if I'm honest. But the Biden presidency is what it is. I think it's had some good, it's had some bad, which I've already gone into detail enough. And we'll see what the remaining presidency has in store for us. We'll have to see what happens.
Yep. Man. Anyway, that was... Oof. Second question from Abel. When are you buying Bitcoin or any other crypto?
I'm not. Too much of a risk for me. I don't know. I don't trust it. What about you? You going to get in on that shit?
Yeah, I already told this to Abel. I'm probably going to wait until like September, October-ish. See if Bitcoin drops, just because that's usually around the time that it is at its lowest, and then it spikes around November, like going up to like Black Friday, Christmas time is when it usually spikes the most. So yeah, the thing is, dude, you got to realize, do you remember that initial spike that it had a few years ago up to like 19 grand?
Yes.
So after that happened, I told myself I want to wait for it to drop down to 6,000 and then I'll buy. And I was like paying attention to it up until it was at like 7,000. And then I just started to just fucking slack off and I forgot about it. It ended up dipping as low as like 4,500, I think, at one point after that. And I just about it. I just forgot about it. Like if I would have actually been paying attention, if I would have actually bought it at 6 grand, it spiked up to like 40 something grand. I would have like 8x'd my money or some crazy shit like that. And I just slacked off on it. So this time I really do want to try and pay attention and try and remember around like September, October to check and make sure that it's dipped the way that it usually does. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I know Chris
actually considering buying Doge, believe it or not.
Yeah, I know Chris had like some Bitcoin, and he regrets not selling it off when it was at its high point. But I still think he made a good bit of money off of what he did sell off.
Oh yeah, I also when I get my new laptop, I'm also very seriously considering mining Ethereum.
I don't even think I've heard of that.
You don't know about Ethereum?
No, I don't think so.
I think that's like the second hottest crypto in the world right now. I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow.
Or I shouldn't say hottest, like second most valuable, I want to say, behind Bit.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure, at least. But anyway, third question from Abel. What do you say to people that say capitalism creates more innovation and rewards hard work more than socialism?
You know, I could feel myself kind of growing into my ranting powers, and I kind of want to curb it, so I'll just say this. The way we win is, and I think other people have said this, and I've just kind of glomped onto it, we just got to show people that communism can build a fucking iPhone. Because, like, the whole, like, oh, we have a claim on innovation thing, I think it's such... To me, it's ahistorical bullshit. Because I think even when you look at, like, authoritarian communist nations like the USSR and stuff like that, they were doing innovative stuff. In fact, I think even... I don't have the brain capacity right now because we've answered so many other questions, or the time to look into this, but didn't they make advances on the internet even before the US and stuff like that? So this whole idea... That, like, the U.S.
The internet itself was a publicly funded thing. It was like a military thing.
Okay, yeah. But then I feel like the USSR did some kind of innovation with either the internet or computers or something. But, like, just the point of this whole myth that, like, oh, if you're a free market society, you have a monopoly on being innovative and doing innovations, I think is complete horseshit. So we just need to show the contrary, but the problem is any nation that would try and show the contrary is immediately a threat to the U.S. national interests. So, I don't know. It's a circularity that's vicious and horrible, and I hate everything.
Yeah, I think... So, okay, here is how I would explain it. Capitalism... Let me put it this way, first of all. No economic system creates innovation. Like, innovation isn't something that comes from a system. Innovation is something that comes from an individual who is able to be innovative and is able to use their innovative mind to actually create the thing that they're trying to innovate, right? Like, it's not something that a system is able to create innovation. That's not a thing. But the whole argument being that it motivates people to work harder more than socialism does, again, that depends on your perspective, because working hard, quote unquote, just for the sake of working hard, nothing is better at motivating you to work hard just for the sake of working hard than capitalism. Because the capitalism that we know, and really capitalism in general at its core, its entire method, its entire philosophy, the entire point of capitalism is to make people work and extract the extra money that you make from their work after you've paid them the least that you can pay them for them to get away with keeping them around to do the work is for profit. Like, that's the whole thing, is capitalism revolves around the entire concept of creating excess profits so that the capitalist can keep that while the workers do the work and get a pittance of it, right?
Yeah, in fact, it's funny you say that because I was just looking at this image because us talking about this whole thing. Somebody tweeted, "Socialism will never work. People are too selfish. That's why we have a system where you work your entire life to make your boss richer while you get the scraps to accommodate your natural selfishness."
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like capitalism. God, how do I want to put this? Okay. Can you repeat what you just read, please?
Oh, yeah, this tweet. Socialism will never work. People are too selfish.
Okay.
That's why we
You
have a
can
system
stop.
where... Okay.
Okay. So here is my big thing. People are only motivated to work in capitalism for survival needs. You're motivated to create something or offer some kind of service or work for somebody because if you don't, you fucking die. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas if we look at the type of socialism that John and I typically advocate for, which is really more communism than socialism, but it's Richard Wolff style socialism, which is basically communism that he just doesn't call communism. You are much more motivated to work hard in that system because you own a part of what you're working for, or you own all of what you're working for, really. Because that is the whole point of communism, seize the means of production. If you are the owner, if you have ownership over whatever you're producing or whatever service you're offering, you're motivated to work harder because you take more pride in your work. And on top of that, you're motivated then to be more innovative outside of work because your brain isn't preoccupied with how do I pay the bills this month. Your brain is actually allowed to be flexible and to be creative, and it opens. And on top of all of that, in capitalism, corporations are motivated to make the cheapest product that will sell at the highest profit margin. They're not motivated to make the best product. They're not motivated to make the product that will last the longest. Actually, it's the opposite. They're motivated to make a product that will last as little time as possible that they can get away with to force people to buy their product as often as possible as they can get away with so that they can extract as much profit as possible that they can get away with. In communist community, you are motivated to make the shit that's going to last the longest and to make the best quality shit and to make the shit that is the most efficient and the most efficient use of the materials being put towards it because there is no profit motive there. There is no, oh, you need to make sure that it wears out in a few months so that they have to buy another one or so that they have to come to you to get it repaired. No, your goal is to improve society actually. Not to say I'm improving society while making a rinky-dink piece of shit that's going to break in a year so that they have to come back and buy more. So capitalism, if anything, motivates people to innovate new ways to scam you, not to innovate actual good stuff.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Planned obsolescence is a real bitch.
Fourth question from Abel. Should trans women be allowed to compete in women's sports? And if so, what limits do you think should be put in place to ensure that there is no competitive advantage?
Here's the thing. There are already limits in place. But, like, anybody... Because I have a friend that's, like, a world champion cyclist. She's a trans woman. She competes with cis women. I think... Oh, God. I wish I could remember names and stuff. Because, see, I'm not that deep into it, but I think I'm just deep enough to answer this question adequately. At least I hope. There are, like, sports leagues and, like, commission leagues, you know, for these types of things. Regulators, right? Like anything else. That say, well, if you're going to be a trans woman competing, you have to make sure your testosterone is, like, at a certain level. Because if it's, you know, if it's above that, that could be a competitive advantage. That's illegal. So, you know, they already say, like, well, your testosterone's got to be this level and this thing's got to be this. There are already regulations and stuff in place. See, this is why I'm not saying, like, Abel's doing this. But it always, like, disheartens me when you see, like, rightists make this as part of the culture war, right? Of like, oh, these trans women, they're the real enemies of feminism because they're taking all these things away from the women. And it's like, well, no, if you knew the barriers to entry and what they have to go through, which I think they do, they just don't care. Like, I always believe that a rightist actually knows what they're saying is bullshit. They just don't care. The barriers to entry, what they've got to do, this and that. like, yeah, there are already requirements in place. There's already a framework in place. I absolutely believe that they should be allowed to compete because there is no competitive advantage. Like my friend has said, she's lost more races than she's won. And nobody ever complains when she loses. It's only when she wins and she gets a little bit of media attention that everybody's like, oh, well, I had to compete against a man, so that's not fair. And that's bullshit. I mean, it's gross and transphobic, but it's also bullshit. I see no problem with trans women competing with women. I see no problem with trans men competing with men because we already have, again, regulations and requirements in place for them based on, blood work, this and that, like, I guess what you call biochemistry or physiology or whatever. And as long as they meet that, you're good to go. I don't even know. Maybe those rules are even too harsh. I don't know. Because, again, I'm not an expert in this. I'm only just in it enough to be able to say, well, yeah, they should compete. But, yeah, like, it's not like anybody could just waltz on in and be like, oh, let me be this cyclist in this fucking women's event or whatever. Like, there is a vetting process. So, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think you are already more knowledgeable on this subject than I am, and I'm glad that you were able to kind of give a more thoughtful and thorough answer because if I would have been me, I would have just said that I thought I read something somewhere about how once a trans woman starts taking the hormones to, undergo the hormone treatment therapy, that they have to be on it for 2 years before any signs of what would be called a competitive advantage would be gone. So I would have just said the 2-year rule, like as long as they've been taking the hormones for 2 years, they're good, but you know more about that than I do. So I would just say, listen to the science at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, and I would come down too, because I just want to really emphasize that I only know it enough by association of my friend who is like a trans athlete.
Yeah.
But yeah, the science is very clear on trans issues the same way, and this is a tangential issue, and I don't want to get too far off the topic. But they're talking about fucking, healthcare, like trans healthcare. I don't want my child on puberty blockers. Like, calm the fuck down, okay? Because, like, again, they act like all these things, whether it's sports, healthcare, whatever, they're being dispensed like Pez fucking candy. There is a really arduous vetting process here. And they're not going to fucking do the fucking puberty blockers, or they're not going to let them compete unless they know, like, okay, they really are trans. This isn't just trying to get some competitive advantage. This isn't just trying to cause controversy of like, oh, well, I said I was trans and they let me compete, no problem kind of thing. Like, no, they really are thorough about this shit. So, it's just kind of frustrating when rightist talking points infiltrate the discourse and make people believe, oh, no, they're not thorough at all. What's happening? And even if that was the case, who cares? It's trans people living life. It's not the end of your world. Get the fuck over it. Next question.
Yes, fifth and final question from Abel. Is it possible to be friends with someone who has several opposing political and ideological views that you believe to be harmful?
I'd be a hypocrite if I said no, because I am friends with such people, at least in my opinion. I'm not going to name names or get into that. But I think...
It varies person to person. It really does.
Yeah. Because, like, you could even say that, like, hell, spend enough time with me or with Ashton, like, I know we all have our quote-unquote unchecked baggage, right? So I'm also answering this question not only from the point of wanting to avoid hypocrisy, because I am friends with such people, but also knowing that we're all works in progress. And I think that's the crux of it right there. I think when you're a friend with somebody, even if they have a few opinions that are like, oof, you're hoping that they can come around, whether by associating with you and your side of things, or just being in dialogue with you and other people, like outside their bubble, and maybe it could reform their perspective some. Because, when we think about what a friendship is, I saw a definition of friendship that I actually quite liked. You're friends with somebody, not because they possess something you lack, because you don't necessarily lack it, but it's something within you that you want to bring out, that you want to grow and nurture and develop. And, I'd like to think that when you're friends with somebody, it gives you different perspectives on things. I mean, how many times, guys, have I given Ashton credit for his perspective on something because he's given me a vantage point that I haven't thought about before? I'd like to think that with our friends that have controversial opinions, or opinions that we just believe are, like, overtly harmful, that, one day they'll come around. And maybe that would go a little quicker if we gave that push and be like, hey, actually, I don't think that's quite right, and here's why. So that's kind of my opinion on it. What about you? You have anything you want to add?
I think it's a case-by-case basis. It depends on kind of the mental and emotional maturity of the person that you're asking. In my case, I have stopped talking to people who I felt like they were kind of like hopeless cases, who I felt like they had these harmful views and I just couldn't change their mind on it, so I just stopped talking to them completely. So I can't say that again, like John, I can't say that I am, just completely black and white on this, because I do have a friend or two that does have some harmful views that will deny up and down that they have these harmful views, but they definitely do still hold them, that I would still consider a friend. So it's a balancing act, and it's a kind of a case by case basis kind of thing too. So it's tough. I struggle with it sometimes. Like, why am I still friends with these people? But at the end of the day, I think friends are just a rare commodity that you want to kind of hang on to when you find them, and that kind of thing isn't something that you necessarily want to just let go of. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's why, like, if I'm honest, I am sympathetic to the people that maybe can't find it within themselves at this particular time to stand up to that racist relative or even that friend or whatever. I mean, I think we should. Ideally, we always should, right? But I understand that human beings were complex and complicated. Like Ashton said, like, it's not a black and white thing. It's not a monolithic thing. It's a messy, again, complicated process. And I think we do what we can when we can. There have been friends where I've wanted to have a talk with, like, hey, I saw you posted this. That was really kind of gross, and here's why. And sometimes you hope that you reach them. Other times you'll see them become more entrenched in their views, and then you've just got to reassess. Like, am I comfortable with that? And I don't blame anybody, and I'm not gonna breathe fire on anybody that may come to different conclusions. Like, well, like Ashton said, friends are a rare commodity. I may not like this one's views, but I'm gonna hold tight to them. Or another person that's like, nah, that just crosses the line for me. Bye. And people are gonna do what they feel they got to do, and I'm going to be the last person to judge anybody for that, honestly.
Yep.
Next question.
Next set of questions are from Javaris, and they're all Invincible related. First question is for you, John. Have you watched Invincible, and if so, what do you think of it?
Oh my God, watched it. I am so attentive to that shit. I cannot wait for the season 1 finale tonight. I am so fucking psyched. I'm ready to go. I think it's amazing. I think the gore, like, already, I'm hoping that, fucking the creator of the show and of the comic, because he's had creative input in both pretty largely. I hope he can come to a deal with fucking NetherRealm Studios and we get Omni-Man as DLC for the next Mortal Kombat game in a few years. Because, like, the fucking gore on this show and how this dude fucking kills people, it's amazing. I love how in your face it is. I love how gritty it is. They got a talented voice cast for this. I think the characters are pretty much very likable. I can understand where a lot of them are coming from. I'm not like I'm all about this person and fuck this person. Like, no, I think they're written in such a way that I can understand where they're all coming from in their own ways, except for Omni-Man. I think he's very clearly an out-and-out villain, although I am curious what his rationale was for what he did. And I'm not going to get too into that for people that haven't seen the show. You guys should check out the show. Don't read the comics beforehand. Just go in ignorant on that. I promise you it'll be worth it. And yeah, I adore it. I can't wait for the finale tonight. And I think it's one of my favorite shows to come out in a minute. I'm really digging it.
All right. Well, next question is just for me. How dope is Invincible? It's pretty fucking dope. I love it. It's amazing. And I'm very much looking forward to the finale tonight. I told you guys my theory from day one. My theory was that Omni-Man is not here to protect Earth. He is here to infiltrate Earth, to set it up for the Viltrumites to come in and invade and take over. And it's looking more and more like that theory might be true as time goes on, but hopefully we find out more information tonight. I'm stoked. It's great. I love it. If you're not watching Invincible, you are missing out majorly. Third question, how crazy was Omni-Man in episode 7? Pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah. Woo! I know I tell Ashton quite a bit, hey, simmer down. No. Omni-Man, he don't need to just simmer down. He needs to just, like, go away, fucking cool off. He needs to reassess his life choices. He needs to have a whole think about just everything, about just himself. Yeah, he's out of control for sure.
That's all you're done?
That's all I got. That's all I got. Next question.
So, fourth question from Javaris. How hyped are you for seasons 2 and 3 of Invincible? Because, John, I don't know if you saw this, but it got greenlit for seasons 2 and 3.
Well, I'm more excited that it got greenlit for a third season. That shows it's a fucking hot success.
Yeah.
Hell the fuck yeah. The fuck yeah.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yep. Chiefin at 2:08 p.m. today in the Discord posted a tweet from @InvincibleHQ on Twitter that said, "I can't wait for more." Smashed the title card. And it says Invincible has been renewed for 2 more seasons. So we were getting seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah, wow, dude. I'm fucking hyped as hell. Again, I think Invincible is one of the best shows to come out. It kind of concerns me that Amazon's really getting good at this streaming thing. But hey, I'm enjoying myself, and that's all I can think about right now. I can't wait for those 2 seasons. It's going to be excellent.
Yeah. All right, next set of questions is the Chiefin. First up, how do you feel about Mickey James's comments on the Grown Ass Women podcast?
Was that about the trash bag thing, or was that separate? I don't even know what comment she made.
You haven't heard this yet. Oh,
no, I haven't. So you're going to get live reactions from me. Let's do it.
Spill the tea, yes. Okay. The WWE doesn't care about the women's division. One official literally even said to her directly, women's wrestling doesn't really make any money. The women's Evolution pay-per-view is the lowest rated pay-per-view in WWE history, and the women's division should play with the cards they're dealt with.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's why I had that reaction. I would listen to that with you during like a Rocket League Brawlhalla session. I would listen to that podcast.
Yeah, dude. We haven't listened to a podcast in a good minute. I wonder what good shit we've been missing out on. Yeah, goddamn you guys. Wow. That's reprehensible. That's really reprehensible to tell somebody that to their face. Fuck this company.
And imagine being that fucking ignorant too, to think women's wrestling doesn't really make money. EO is the top draw in NXT. The women have consistently the highest rated segments on AEW. Stardom makes a fuck ton more money than most people realize. Like, women's wrestling is an actual draw. And by the way, this is all stemming from Mickey throwing an idea out there, pitching to one of the higher ups in WWE to have an all women's show. Like, they have Main Event. Why not have an all-women's show as, like, an hour special kind of thing every week that would just get the women television time? And that's what they said in response. It was going to happen. They literally told her it was never going to happen, that women don't really make money, and, like, all that shit.
Bro, that's fucking crazy to me because, like, remember, when NXT was leaving Wednesdays, I'm like, well, no way they're going to leave that just for AEW to monopolize. They're going to have a replacement. And I even fucking suggested a women's show. So Mickey and I are on the same wavelength because I'm like, her and I have similar views. Like, the women have been killing it. They've been getting a lot of positive press. Sasha and Bianca fucking killed it, Mania. I'm like, give the undercard women something to do because you can't rely on the 4 horsewomen and the few prospects that may come through like every couple of years. Like, you should have as many people on hand as possible. So, give them their own fucking show, have their own unique storylines, this and that. Yeah, her and I had a very similar wavelength, very similar thought process, and WWE's like, no, that doesn't draw, so we really don't feel like it. It's like, okay, I feel like that's objectively
being so
false.
Ignorant, though. Like, imagine being like, oh, they don't really make money, and then Stardom's just over here like, ignore me, please.
Yeah.
Just ignore me while I'm counting these fucking 10,000 billion over here.
I mean, dude, to be honest, and again, maybe this is just me having my more asshole side, but they're already ignoring Stardom when NXT is like, oh, we have the best women's roster in the world. Okay.
Well, they're counting on their own viewers' ignorance for that. You know it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, though, dude, like, it just blows my mind that the management, and it really shouldn't because they're all fucking boomers and they're all ignorant old white men. But at the end of the day, how does nobody in the upper management of the WWE have even a pinky finger on the pulse to be able to know how much of a draw the women are in AEW, in NXT, Hell, even on the main roster, I feel like the women tend to get good ratings for the most part, as far as like viewership goes. And if you wanted to really take advantage and really milk the idea of an all women's wrestling show for all that it's worth, you could even have them stay after the show and do signings like they do at Stardom. You would make so much more money that way.
And dude, like, not to, because God, this would be poetic, right? Me taking the issue off the women and like putting it on a man instead. But like, what an insult to people like Tyson Kidd as well, who have worked so closely with the women to produce those matches. Like, he produced Sasha Bianca at Mania, and like, you're gonna tell me that women don't draw or women can't be compelling? Like, we're all working on this.
Yeah, dude, I would love to know, like, if WWE just decided to do like a one-night experiment. Just having women on SmackDown one week. But, like, they would have to have Becky back because she is the best draw for the women. And, like, you have Becky and Charlotte and Asuka and fucking Bayley and Sasha and Bianca and all of their ridiculously talented women. And Charlotte, I did mention her. She's not a part of that group. But all of their ridiculously talented women and the women that they push really, really hard on the same show. And just watch and see it fucking outdraw Monday Night Raw. Like, are you kidding me right now? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest. That right there is the dumbest shit that I have heard come out of WWE probably since the fucking airplane ride from hell or something like that. Like one of these dumbass stories.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it.
Second question from the Chief, and how do you feel about Andrade's first wrestling match he will have after his WWE run being a singles match against Alberto Del Bitchbag?
Personally, I hate it. Obviously, I'm concerned for Andrade that, like, because of the age of social media and everything, the people might look at him differently for, like, you know, embracing that choice. I think, again, for Mexican wrestling fans, you know, fans of Lucha Libre, stuff like that, it might be a big hit for them. I don't know. I'll be curious to see, like, how that event does, you know, with Del Rio and Andrade on the marquee. But, man, if I was Andrade, I would have milked it more. I would have kept people guessing, like, what's my first move going to be? And I'm still hoping he does G1 either this summer or fall, whenever the fuck they're doing that tournament. I'm still really, really, really hoping we get to see that. I'm starting to really doubt it, though. I mean, obviously I'm going to root for Andrade and all things, but I don't like it. I would have done, you know, much differently than he did, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. And I just ditto everything you just said. Third question from Chief, and can we get excited now that Miro is on his own? Let me just start from the beginning because I fucked that up. Can we get excited now that Miro is on his own in AEW and give him the TNT championship right now?
I don't even feel qualified to answer this because I stay the fuck away from AEW. If Miro's been doing as good as I would, or doing as well as I would assume he would, given how talented he is, sure. I mean, I like Darby Allin as TNT champion with the small clips that I watch for the purposes of 5v5, just to see if I still vibe with him and what he's doing. But every title's got to change hands eventually. And yeah, if he was TNT champion, I don't think it'd be a bad move for AEW.
Yeah.
So
I like Darby Allin as TNT champion. I don't even watch the show, but I just like the idea that Darby Allin is like their mid-card champion. And I feel like Miro is more of a world title challenger and losing the title match and then kind of hovering in the upper mid-card for a while kind of guy than just straight up put the mid-card title on him. I feel like he's almost above that.
Right.
Fourth question from Chiefin. Can we please get Shayna Baszler away from Nia Jax? How is that a question?
That'll happen when WWE wants it to happen.
Yeah. We can't do anything about it. We agree with you if that's what you wanted to know. Yeah, can we please? My mom is over there standing in the kitchen being like, yeah, please.
I wouldn't even mind Shayna being with Nia all that much, truthfully, if she was still, like, dominant and intimidating as fuck, but I'm pretty sure even Lana has pinned Shayna at this point, and it's like, what the fuck? So, yeah, the sooner the better, but again, it's only going to happen when WWE wants it to happen.
Fifth and final question from Chiefin. How sad is it that the best thing on Raw right now is a random thrown-together tag team between Randy Orton and Matt Riddle?
I mean, again, I don't watch Raw, so I can't really assess that one way or the other. I did see their segments together on YouTube. I'm actually surprised Orton put them over in that one match. But again, my opinion is tanked of Matt Riddle. Normally, I'd maybe be excited. But you know what? Even if the stuff about Riddle didn't come out, I still hate the way that they are presenting his character. I don't think they really get it whatsoever. I feel like this is just a considerably better in-ring version of a Zack Ryder type character, and also somehow more annoying. So I feel like they completely missed the mark with him anyway, not even getting into the personal stuff. So I guess it's unique. It's interesting to see Orton kind of do this whole babyface-ish thing after doing the whole really intense feud with The Fiend where he set him on fucking fire. But we'll see how they do, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Asuka is better than them, but I can't even really argue with you just because, again, I barely watch Raw as well. Next set of questions, though, is our final set of questions from Alex Foster. First up, what would be stranger to see? A bad match between two wrestlers that you love, or an amazing match between wrestlers that you don't like or don't care for?
I think an amazing match between wrestlers I don't care about. That's always going to be more mind-blowing to me because two wrestlers I like or even love, I can expect that chemistry's not always going to be there.
You've already seen it, right? Like Styles Joe, they had no chemistry whatsoever.
Exactly.
Hell, even Styles Owens, they didn't have any chemistry together either.
No, they didn't. So we've already seen that. But if two wrestlers that we didn't like, and then they went out there and they tore the house down, I'd probably wake up the next day and be like, "Wait, did that really happen, or was it just a really nice deep sleep?"
Imagine a 5-star classic between Jinder Mahal and I don't know, God, I can't even think of another male wrestler. Randy Orton, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, imagine if their Punjabi prison match was actually good.
You know what? I'm sure there are people that thought it was great, and more power to you for being able to enjoy that.
Yeah, unironically, yeah.
Second question from Alex Foster. What is a piece of media that you dismissed early on but ended up loving?
So I guess when he says media, this could be broad, like a video game or like a TV show or an anime.
Yeah.
Dismissed early. I know there's an answer to this.
I have an answer for myself.
Sure, go.
Dragon Ball Super, believe it or not. I wasn't super into it at first, but I knew that it's Dragon Ball, of course it's going to get good. And I wasn't all that into it at first, and it took a little while for it to really hook me, but I ended up loving it, especially the universe, tournament arc.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take your anime and I'll raise in another anime, One Piece. I mean, granted, I've kind of unplugged from it only because of sheer fucking volume. It really has nothing to do with the show.
Dude, I was watching a clip video the other day of the OTV and Friends group, and the one dude, I didn't even know who he was, so I think it was just a random guy that I'm not aware of. But he said, I tried watching One Piece. I watched the first 60 episodes, couldn't get into it. And I'm just like, wait, who watches 60 episodes of something they can't get into? And then he's like, listen, if I can't get into something in 60 episodes, it's not going to get me. And there were people in his chat complaining that he didn't watch more.
Yeah, what put me off to it at first was honestly the art style, but it grew on me. And I'll tell you, because it has a fuck ton of episodes, obviously there's going to be a lot of filler, and I would argue that their filler is more entertaining than Naruto filler. That's not a debate I wish to get into. I'll never come back. But I do think, their main arcs, nobody does arcs like fucking One Piece, and that's why I persisted for so long. But again, the only reason I unplugged really had nothing to do with the show. It was honestly just fatigue. The volume is insane.
Oh, I have an even better answer for myself.
Okay.
Digimon Season 4, Digimon Frontier, the one where the kids turn into the Digimon and fight as these elemental warriors. I absolutely fucking hated the concept as a kid. But coming back and watching it as an adult, it actually is unironically my second favorite season of Digimon after Season 3 now.
Wow.
Yeah. I fucking love it. I think it's great. And I hated it when I was I think 13 or 14 years old when it first came out. I despised it. I thought it sucked. It was the season of Digimon that I stopped watching Digimon during because it lost my interest.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, but I really enjoy it now as an adult. And low-key, Tamers might even fit in there too. I think I watched the first 20-something episodes of Tamers, as a kid, and then kind of fell off, and I might have come back later and rewatched it. But I think that's another example of a Digimon show that I didn't like at first and ended up coming back around on and loving. And like Tamers is just amazing. Like I would say Tamers is one of the best anime overall that I've ever seen. And that's, I mean, I haven't seen a ton of anime, but that's still putting it on the same level as like Full Metal Alchemist and Death Note and DBZ and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. So, third question now from Foster. Out of wrestlers who share finishers/signatures, who does it best? Examples: Spear, Powerbomb, 450, etc. I think the best Spear still belongs to Goldberg.
Yeah, Goldberg, because I can't say this completely inactive because he'll do the one-off every now and again. Best Sling Blade, definitely still Tanahashi. I mean, he did innovate it, right? We've been over this.
Well, I think he popularized it. Or no, wait, shit, I don't remember. You're gonna make me look this shit up. Tanahashi. I still have a Wikipedia copy saved from when they still had the in wrestling section. Sling Blade. Where is it? There. It doesn't actually say that he innovated it.
Interesting. But even if he didn't,
it says a spinning sit-out variation of a sleeper slam that makes use of the wrestler's own momentum. Blah 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 blah. The move is used by Tanahashi, with some commentators even calling the move a Tanahashi when anybody performs it to associate with him. Yeah, I'm not seeing who innovated it, though. That's weird.
Freaking Kami Goye, obviously B. Priestley does it the best. I kid. I just want to get ahead of that immediately.
Wow, I think you triggered people there.
Yeah. Obviously Ibushi. Sharpshooter Ishii, all that.
I don't know. Kid is on his ass, dude.
Yeah, that is true. But isn't Kid more of a cloverleaf and not a sharpshooter?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, even, you know what? I love Kid, but she's got to be second best again because the best cloverleaf that I'm seeing in wrestling these days isn't her. It's Maki Ito.
Yeah. Kid, though, man, she's got some great form on her.
Starlight Kid does the best tornado sky suplex.
Yes, she does. Oh, God, she deserves the best.
The tornado star suplex is what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, tornado star suplex.
All right, Powerbomb. Who has the? I still think, just the fucking jackknife, Kevin Nash, Diesel.
Yeah.
The thing is, I really liked the Batista bomb, just like the Powerbomb part, but I always hated how awkward it was when he would hit the Batista bomb and then roll out and go for like a normal shooting the half style pin. I'm like, dude, you're literally sitting in a position where you've got his legs up. Just fucking sit there and let the ref count it. You don't have to roll away and pin him correctly. You've got him pinned. It's over.
Yeah, David.
Yeah.
I don't know. How many more moves do you want to compare here?
450. Who do you think has the best 450?
Who's doing 450s right now? I know AJ, obviously.
Who doesn't at this point? Even fucking Bianca does a 450 for fuck's sakes.
Her 450 is pretty nice.
It's everywhere. Like AJ Styles, Ali, Ospreay.
I'm gonna say AJ though, because he showed me the springboard 450 was possible, and the first time I saw that, it blew my fucking mind.
You know what? AJ's problematic in his own way, so I'm gonna platform another problematic piece of shit. PJ Black, man.
Yeah, he's pretty fucking stellar as far as the 450 goes.
Yeah. What about Shooting Star? Who has the best Shooting Star?
Oh shit. Brock Lesnar? No, I can't.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised if Scott Steiner could do it in his prime.
Dude, I've told you, right, about the legend, or about the myth, I guess would be better, that there was footage of Steiner doing Ocean. Yeah. I scoured the internet for that shit.
Yep. That's why I'm saying I bet he could do it in his prime, because there's no proof of it, but I believe it.
Yeah, prime Scott Steiner? He's like, no. I don't show them everything. I gotta get paid. They get maybe this much. See this baby, the Shooting Star press?
God, I want to agree with Cord Comer, Brandon Chiefin, and say Matt Sydal, but... Oh, man, that slip was brutal.
I'm just glad he didn't break his neck.
Yeah.
Because that looked really bad. Yeah.
No.
I don't.
What else? Let's see. What about the best strike finisher? Because, like, obviously there are a bunch of different types of strikes. Who do you think has the best strike finisher?
Best strike finisher? I mean, Brian's knee plus, I think, still holds up.
Yeah,
Even all these years later.
that does.
Miga
Yamashita's reverse roundhouse kick is insane.
That is sick. Speaking of kicks, Shuri's roundhouse kick, like, I feel my soul leave my body, and I'm not even the one affected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like her buzzsaw kick that she does. Yeah.
Yeah. Other strike finishes. Yeah, Tam's reverse roundhouse is pretty nice, but that's not a finish. That's a setup. I think we gave sufficient answers there. Are there any other moves you want to go through, or because Foster has
let's move on. Fourth question from Foster. Name a non-pro wrestling show that you would love to write/act in.
Non-pro wrestling show that I would like to write/act in. I am really becoming a big fan of that show Billions I was mentioning to you guys earlier. Probably that one. But I probably would just want to act in it because there's no way I could match the level of writing that's going on in that show. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll say that. What about you, bud?
Well, he did say non-wrestling, so I can't just go into WWE and help them with their writing problems. So I would want to play, acting-wise. I'm thinking. Give me a minute. I want to play one of the, like, grunt-type bad guy, villain bodyguards in a Marvel movie.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I don't want a big role. I don't want to be like the featured, like, big deal thing. I don't think I'd be a good enough actor to do that. But I am big, and I am pretty good at learning, like, physical tasks and, like, physical skills and, like, stunts and stuff. And I'm pretty athletic for my size and stuff like that, so I think I'd be able to pull it off. I would love to be in a Marvel movie, even if it's just in that small capacity where I'm just like, even like a bouncer at a club that one of the heroes is trying to get into, and he just punches me and he gets to knock me out and get in. Like, something as simple as that would be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And our final question of the Q&A, fifth and final question from Foster. What anime moments would you change?
What anime moments
would
I
change? First, since I have so much more limited knowledge.
Sure.
The entire final arc of Death Note. I would honestly, if we can't change it in a way that makes it as compelling as the first chunk of it, I would just remove it completely and have the show end when L dies.
God, that'd be amazing, because then Light wins. You essentially took my answer, because I was going to say the exact thing. I think a lot of
I might have taken your
that.
answer, but it would have been far worse if you would have taken the answer, and then I would have had nothing. So you have plenty more anime history to draw.
I don't know. Given how I love leaving you defenseless, I beg to disagree. Let's see. Anime moments I would change. Trying to think about anime that we've watched. I'm even thinking about anime I've watched with my family and what I would change.
I have another answer now.
Oh, well, that's great. I wish I would have thought of that, 5 seconds ago, but
Make
that's okay.
Goku less stupid.
Yeah, and Super especially. It's annoying. Like, I've gone back and I've watched Goku in DBZ. The difference is night and day. It really, like, he's far more likable in DBZ while still having that naivete about him. It's nowhere near as pronounced, though. Trying to think. Goddamn, because I have watched more anime than you. That's objectively true, but it's not that much more. It's less than you probably think. You know what? Fuck it. I know what I would change. I thought of something. I don't give a fuck about plot armor or any of that shit.
Yes.
I would have had Joey beat Merrick at Duelist Kingdom. Or not Duelist Kingdom, Battle City. Battle City fucking semifinals. I would have had him win. Put him the fuck over.
One where Joey lost because he passed out? Another one?
Yeah.
One? Yeah, that was the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah. I would have had him fucking win. Fuck it. Let Kaiba be the fucking... Let Kaiba be the fucking main villain because it's his fucking tournament anyway.
Yeah! I am 100% on board with this. Yes.
Yeah, because, like... can I just go into this? It's took me so long to find a fucking answer in the first place. Like Joey and Duelist Kingdom, it was I really grew to support him in Battle City because I loved his arc. He was getting better every fucking duel, and his deck was actually starting to look impressive. And you have Kaiba, which, by the way, since I'm finally having a reason to talk about this, because I'm not a weirdo that just talks about random things. What are you talking about? The fucking Japanese version handles this so much better. In fact, Ashton, you might have been the one to allude me to this, because the Japanese version has Merrick practically throwing up because Joey took him to the limit, and Kaiba just being like, he really acknowledges him in a formal, respectful way. Not the throwaway Ford kid shit of, well, maybe he's not the inferior duelist I thought he was. Fuck you, Kaiba. I'm glad you're an orphan. Jesus, I'm horrible. But, it's just the idea, like, he's getting better every fucking duel. And then they have that whole four-way battle. Kaiba, Merrick, Yugi, and Joey. And Joey makes this speech to Yugi like, hey, man, if you really believe in me, I gotta do this on my own. And I made a promise to you. We were gonna save the world together. Like, I can beat the big bad. And then here's the fucking thing, folks. He practically does it. He practically fucking does it. And this whole thing like, oh, when you lose life points or your monster's attacked, it gets taken out on you. And he endures all of it. And I'll tell you, if they had a better writing team than fucking 4Kids, it would have been so much more compelling. It probably would have even made me cry, because I know the writing that's in an arc like that.
Wasn't 4Kids just the company that translated it over from Japanese to English?
Yeah, but I also feel like they did other stuff as well. They were just horrible, right? Like,
I'm just saying, though, like, the original Japanese version still had Joey lose.
I mean, fair, but I feel like they would have upped the intensity. Like, when I talk about 4Kids doing other stuff, like, they had fucking Brock from Pokemon call, what was it, like, rice balls fucking jelly donuts.
Right.
Like, the way they tamper with properties.
Right, the obnoxious oversimplifying, over-dumbing down. I get it.
Yeah, and by the way, while I'm ruining dreams, in the Japanese version of Pokemon, the reason why they're crying about Butterfree leaving is because when Butterfrees mate, they die. Welcome to nature, fuckwads! But yeah, he does this whole fucking thing that grows so much as a character, and it's not about his sister, it's about Mai, who they very clearly are into each other, but we can't do that. They're just friends, which that's fine too. Nothing wrong with a deep and powerful friendship. But he has the reason, he has the ability, he has fucking everything. And you know it. You know he does, because you've, and I can't believe I'm using a wrestling term here, booked yourself into a fucking corner where it's like, oh shit, we made him so legit, people are probably actually expecting something to happen. How do we get out of this while he saves face and we keep Merrick as our heel? Oh, he passes out. At that point, folks, Jesus Christ, why not again have Kaiba be like an anti-hero / antagonist for this arc, because it's his fucking tournament. He's power-hungry, wanting to have all 3 God cards, right? And you can do fucking... I honestly would have done Joey and Kaiba in the finals. I don't care, because then you can't tell me that it would have been, because in Duelist Kingdom, when Yugi beat Joey, he gave him the prize money card. He said, you can use this paper as an operation. You're telling me Joey wouldn't return the favor? Hey, Yug, I won all 3 Egyptian God cards. Here you go. Really? Really? Okay. It was such bullshit. I'm so glad I thought of this, because I've held this rant in me probably for literally years.
Yes.
They did him so goddamn dirty. Because there was no reason for it. You could have made him to the point where in every subsequent arc, I don't know, would Yugi save the day? Would Joey save the day? Because he'd have that credibility.
I don't know about you, John, but I seem to remember Marek didn't fucking stick around after that arc, but no, they had to give the big win to Yugi. Goku and Vegeta all goddamn over it.
No, they straight up Gohan Joey's ass. That's what fucking happened.
That was what I was originally going to say. I was going to say it's Goku and Gohan all over again, but yeah, it's...
But you know what, though? You're actually kind of right, though, because at least Gohan beat the big bad. At least in the Cell arc, he kills Cell, even with Vegeta's help and Goku's help and all that stuff. It really does center on him, and they made it clear throughout that arc that if Gohan didn't have the damaged arm, he could have beaten Cell easily. And I feel like they tried to say the same thing here. Oh, if Joey didn't pass out, he would have won. Well, then have him fucking win! Like, because it hurts Merrick, too, long term. Let's broaden the scope a little bit beyond the Joey writing and look at just the arc. What kind of a villain are you that you can't even beat the gatekeeper to the protagonist? Because Joey's the Ishii in this equation in that way, right?
Yeah.
But you can barely beat the fucking gatekeeper. What chance do you have against the protagonist? And, like, that's what a lot of people, when they really do the deep dive into American stuff like that, they say, like, a lot of his cards and stuff, like, he was overly reliant on the shadow games. I think some people have even said he's, like, overly reliant on luck and stuff, like drawing powerful cards. To be honest, even if you didn't want to make Bakura, or excuse me, even if you didn't want to make Kaiba the antagonist of this arc, which I feel like would have made the most sense, Bakura was fucking immensely interesting in this arc because obviously he wanted to collect all the Millennium items. I know he'd get his own arc later, and I did enjoy it. But I feel like you could have even made him a villain then. Like, Merrick was the weakest of the fucking bunch, and yeah, like, I just have it in my mind, it should have been Joey and Kaiba in the finals.
They just had to give fucking Ishizu something to do.
Yeah, and then they had to make it with a fucking Atem, Mr. I can't remember my own fucking name ass. It's my destiny. It's my destiny to win this. Like,
that right there, dude, the Atem shit, like that whole like segment, like after Battle City was over, that was what I stopped watching Yu-Gi-Oh! During. Like it lost me.
Yeah, and the destiny
fucking
shit.
The real duel monsters flying around the city and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And like, thinking about the Destiny shit, like, they were just being explicit about the plot armor that Yugi wears. Yep. Like, oh, you know, he said the D word, it's over, folks. Like, give up your dreams. I would have loved
the D word? Don't you mean the H word?
H word.
The heart of the cards.
Oh, fuck. But yeah. It sucked. Really, it should have been Joey and fucking Kaiba in the finals. He humbled, because like, honestly, and especially if you like to see Kaiba eat dirt, and I know I do, and I don't think he did it enough in the original series. Can you imagine, like, if losing to Yugi broke him, and I watched those episodes enough to know that, yeah, it did. Imagine losing to Joey in the finals, and losing both of your fucking guard cards to Joey.
Well, dude, and not only that, but if you think about it too, Joey is a good enough friend to Yugi that if Yugi needed those god cards to save the world, Joey would have fucking given them to him.
Dude, yeah, I literally said that a few minutes ago, because remember at Duelist Kingdom, when Yugi beat Joey and he got the money card, he's like, oh, I don't need this. You take this and pay for Serenity's operation. Yep. Joey, 100% would have returned the favor.
Absolutely.
Fuck you, Yu-Gi-Oh! Fuck you. Like, there was another way, and you know what? Oh, and then by the way, another reason why I'm just so passionate about this, and salty, you're goddamn right. The creator even said, like, oh, well, Joey's the strongest of the duelists, and he said something about, like, his heart or his willpower. Fuck you.
If he really was, he would have won, you bitch.
Yeah, he would have won. He would have had a more prominent role. Oh, but we teased that Joey gets his red eyes back by beating Yugi in a duel. Well, gee, if I didn't see it, it's not canon. And if it's not canon, it doesn't count. So again, chortle my goddamn balls. How's that for fun? Agreed.
Dude, Joey that could have been the fucking thing. He could have been like, hey, listen up here, Yugi. I'm proposing a trade. I'll give you these 3 cards if you give me back my red eyes. And he does, but Yugi's just like, but Joey, that's a horrible trade for you. Those are 3 of the most powerful cards in existence. And he's just like, hey, do you want the trade or not, Yugi? And he's just like, oh, I get it, Joey. You're so great. Thanks, pal. Here you go. He takes them. Perfect
Yu-Gi-Oh! Schmaltz right there.
Yes!
So, to the creator being like, oh, he's got the most willpower. Well, that looks like you drew pot of green. That allows you to chortle 2 more of my balls. Fuck off. Rant fucking over.
Oh my God. Can we write our own dual anime now, please?
Oh, God, you know we're not rich enough to do that. But you know what? I'm so glad you backed me into a corner by taking the easy Death Note answer, because I found that, and I'm like, fuck yeah, let's just fucking do it. Oh, man. Yeah, Foster's right. We needed to hear the Winged Dragon of Raw chant with a Brooklyn accent. You're goddamn right we did, Foster. You're goddamn right we did. That whole arc was missed opportunities out the ass.
All right. Alex Foster, he wants me to do my Joey Wheeler accent more often. Well, if you want me to do it more often, you got to ask more Yu-Gi-Oh! Related questions in Q&A, because that's the only time it ever comes up. So I think we're done here, though, John. How do you feel?
After that last question, I feel pretty fucking great. So,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to be done here, John?
yes, absolutely. You can close us out, man.
Okay, now I can go back to addressing the ladies and gentlemen in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you all enjoyed our Q&A this month. Be sure to ask questions for next month's Q&A, which, John, do you have the date on hand, or do I need to look it up?
No, I can do this. Hold on. It's May 27th.
It's the 27th.
It's May 27th. I said it.
You beat me. You got me. You win.
Okay.
He's sweaty from that.
I just needed to mark my territory. Okay, we're good.
Your territory is listing and reading dates.
Yes, you're goddamn right it is. Don't you ever take my job.
Did you hear my mom?
What did she say?
She said your territory is in her heart, sweetie.
Oh my god!
I'm puking over here.
Delicious!
No! Think of the dog, I'm gonna die again. No!
It's happening to you again. How does it feel to have a weak willpower?
I'm composing myself. See, yeah, willpower what, my bitch?
Listen to you.
I composed myself. Next, we're done here. We will see you all tomorrow for our Stardom Live reactions, because somehow or another they already got the entire April 29th show up. This show happened earlier today, and all 5 matches from it are already on Stardom World. I don't know what the fuck happened. What kicked Sonny's ass that made him decide to upload the whole thing in one night, in the same night that it happened, but it's there. So we will be live reacting to it tomorrow afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, we will be reviewing SmackDown. Next week, it's the usual NXT, Stardom if it exists, and SmackDown review. So we hope that you're looking forward to all that. And most importantly, we hope that you're all able to remember to stay tuned.